Good morning. Happy hump day. Okay, I am right. It is hump day. Wednesday morning. Good morning. All content presented on the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guests, commentators, and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official position of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studio does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements made by third parties during programming. Phone lines are open 928-344-5258. Jimmy Kimmel is on vacation, I guess. And I wanted to get started there. Because I just thought it was aggressive. Remember, Kimmel was removed from the programming once for Charlie Kirk comment. Charlie Kirk comment about the death of Charlie Kirk afterwards and all that, made light of it. And it made him a hero to the left, it looks like, and he was defiant about the whole thing, not apologetic and all that. And of course, he came back after. I mean, he was suspended indefinitely, which was a few days, less than a week. And he came back defiant on how they tried to take away his First Amendment rights and all that, which is ridiculous. First Amendment rights have to do with the government doing something to you, not private business telling you lost your job due to ratings or bad moral decisions. Know that. But anyway, that's the backdrop of this. But Jimmy Kimmel's out, and there's an Ike Barinholtz, Mike, that's been taking his place. He's doing the Jimmy Kimmel Live. I did not watch it, but he brought up the death of Senator Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham, as you know, is just passed, and is one of the more powerful senators and outspoken, and both sides of the aisles, were showing grief on this one. So he was universally accepted and recognized as effective and powerful and had a great voice. And he decided to make jokes about it. In fact, not only made jokes about it, but even referenced that they might take away the show. I mean, let me tell you what he said. He said, "What a crazy weekend. Mitch McConnell is alive." Of course, we'll discuss that. All indication he's alive, but there's a lot of rumors out there. But anyway, he says, Mitch McConnell's alive. Lindsey Graham is dead. There's so many opportunities to get Jimmy's show pulled off the air again. They're going to pull it off. That's how he starts, by prodding them. Go ahead and pull the show. And after they did Charlie Kirk, it's just, they can do what they want. It's private business and all that. The rest of us can be outraged a little bit. There's a sidekick, Guillermo Rodriguez, that works on Jimmy Kimmel's show. So Graham, he said, so Ike, the guest host, said, he said that Guillermo and Graham were friends. He said you hosted fundraisers for him at Dave and Buster's in Charleston, and I know you prepared some heartfelt remarks. Do you want to share any of them with America right now? Good for Rodriguez. She said, maybe later on. I'll do that later. Yeah. They said later on, he's emotional, folks. He's emotional. It's just unnecessary making light of this stuff. I don't get it. I'm not asking CBS to poll him or anything. I just let the numbers die themselves. It doesn't go ahead and lose money on that stuff. He after all that, whatever. Let me see. After joking about McConnell's health Monday night, he sarcastically remarked, "In all seriousness, though, I want to extend well wishes to Senator McConnell. I hope you get quality health care. You fought so hard to deny everyone else. Pulling for you, Mitch." Yes, it's just unbelievable. But it's out there. Speaking of Mitch McConnell, of course, he's been in the hospital or in, I guess, rehab or something. He's out of public view for what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now? I don't know. It's been a while. He's and of course, then there were a lot of rumors about his passing, that possibly he passed, possibly he's brain dead, possibly there's a lot of games going on. The governor of Kentucky said that he wants proof of life because they got to prepare for an election if Mitch needs to be replaced or something. And whether or not he's got that, I don't know. Mitch McConnell's supposed to be in Kentucky in a hospital. You would think they could get together, whatever. Well, as soon as Lindsey Graham passed, there was questions and there was a confusion and people were thinking, oh, he died. And they were thinking Mitch McConnell had been in the hospital because Lindsey was not. It was sudden for him and it was not expected. And Mitch McConnell has shown some poor health for quite a while now. So we all hope he's okay, but he's out of view and it's weird. I've seen a lot of questions, a lot of people that question what's really going on because there was some reporter hanging out at Mitch McConnell's house and found somebody, going in and out. They were bringing in samples of woodwork, flooring, I think, flooring to do upgrades, remodeling or something. And he started I mean, the reporter started asking questions. "Oh, I'm just here to remodel," or something like that. Well, which was confusing. I mean, the wife's out of town in China. He's in the hospital, and someone's going in there with samples of flooring. Now, they took pictures and all that in the car and all that, and it was a car that had Mitch McConnell's congressional license plate or name tag or something on it, so that it could be used, and I guess maybe parking a handicap. I don't know. I don't know what it was for, but it was some uh, indication that he was a senator, and it was a I think probably his car, and then they identified the guy as one of the aides, most likely, working for him. So, and he never disclosed it. And then he hid himself. He put a bag over his head or something, walking around. He didn't want to be seen doing something with the house, which in itself doesn't mean anything, but it's just kind of odd behavior. And why all the craziness, why all the secretiveness, and telling people you're a contractor when you work for the senator seems odd. Well, Mitch McConnell came out with a picture where he took a picture with a shirt on, sitting in it looked like a hospital bed or a hospital chair. I'm not sure which, and his wife was there, which obviously, if she's there, she's not out of town. And he was holding a newspaper, like he was a hostage victim, giving him, Well, that one went out the other day. Okay. Some people checked it to see if it was AI, and AI will check, see if it's AI. They look at the pixels and everything. I don't know if anything was. They thought it was authentic on AI. It was okay. And some people are saying it was a picture from 2023, which I think was debunked too. A lot of rumors. Uh, but then I saw something last night about it just didn't look right. And he's in a hospital, and why isn't he wearing a hospital identification like wristband? You can't be in a hospital rehab without a wristband. He didn't have one. And there was something about the lighting and something, I don't know. I'm not that. And but that is a question. And it is a question of if you're doing that well and you're setting up it, why are you not interacting, do a video to let people know everything's okay? Or do you like the controversy, or is there something you're hiding? Who knows? I don't know. But all they're doing is continuing to spool on more questions. They're spooling on, uh, you know, more doubt that we've been lied to. God forbid. That does happen in this industry. We get lied to. Um, Speaking of lies, I was watching some news on the Iran war, which we're going to talk a little bit about today because it's I think it's taken an escalation that I didn't expect. A lot of people didn't expect that we are seeing more going on kinetically, more going on kinetically, and I know a lot of people got to applaud that. I know Gilbert out in the foothills. He's been frustrated for months now. Like, come on, Trump, get it over with, because these guys aren't going to cooperate. They're going to lie to you, and you're not going to get anywhere with them. Why don't you just do it already? Well, Gilbert's probably pretty happy that they're doing it already, I guess. And maybe it was inevitable. I still think Trump had the um, right. He did the right thing, to show he wants to work it out. He wants not lost a life. He doesn't want to destroy infrastructure. that needs to be built right back if there is a regime change and there's somebody in there that's going to do the right things for international trade and for their own people and for all that whole community, the neighbors, Saudi Arabia and all the others. So he's avoided it, and I think it's the right thing. But I was watching one of the shows. He's a retired military guy that's been doing a lot of shows on or Ukraine as well as Iran now, and talking about some of the military aspects of it that he knows about and relates because it was his job for many years. Well, he's been critical of Trump lately about misinformation, lack of trust, and he'll come out and say the Pentagon lied to us. I can't believe can't trust Pentagon, which I'd be curious about. I don't have Dean in here this morning. I'd ask Dean. Dean's a lot more connected. I mean, obviously, military officer. But in war, and I know Dean says this because he's very much a history buff and reads all that stuff. In war, the truth is usually the first casualty. So it's been stated many times before, and this guy's contention is that the Pentagon has an obligation to tell us all the details right away, uh, for credibility wise, which they generally don't. And he made reference to when the skirmish first started, the attacks first started with Iran, and then the tit for tat, and the bombs and missiles going back and forth, and drones. There was a base hit, and I think it was in Kuwait, military base. It was United States, and damaged a bunch of equipment, aircraft, and killed some people, like 3 or 4 or something. And and the military downplayed it and said it wasn't didn't do much damage or anything, whatever. And find out later from pictures or other things that probably underestimated. It was a more critical strike than they wanted to put out there, and he called that misinformation. And I don't know, but I question, like, should the Pentagon come out forward and tell everything all the time, especially when they're fighting a foe that wants to hurt them, wants to destroy them? Should they come out and say, "Well, you damaged these airplanes, you did all that"? I don't know. I thought, I don't know that they lied. I just think they didn't really tell any details, except for the deaths of some servicemen that I think were inside a hangar when a drone or something came in. Unfortunately, there was loss of life. That's a lot harder to find. That's a lot harder to cover up. Yeah, you can't cover that up near as well. Yeah, but I I didn't understand the harshness of it and the lack of trust for Trump because Trump has been changing his mind a lot. And some recent examples, Strait of Hormuz, because this kinetic action goes right back to kinetic action, and Iran says that it's our strait, we control it, and all that. And he says, no, I control it, and we're going to get paid back, and we're going to charge 20% now. For me, listening to Trump do that, I look at that and says, what's he really want? What's he looking for? The art of the deal stuff. What are you doing? And you can never take it, discount is what he's saying. But is that a lie? Is that really what he's wanting to get done? Well, he comes out the next day, today, I think he said something to the effect that he's had a talk with the players in the area, the people that use the Strait of Hormuz, that thinks that's excessive, and that they have a better way, and he agrees with them. And they're going to make investments, other investments, and do things to support Trump, to support the military. And I don't dislike the fact that Trump is talking about the United States is paying a lot of treasure and lives to open up the strait for the world, not for us. We've become the other people are benefiting from it, including Europe and including the rest of the world. China will benefit from it because oil will flow more freely, and we're the one that's paying the price. We're paying the price. I mean, the missiles, the time, the military, the fuel to run these expensive battleships, and the risk of a bomb hitting, of something happening. Because believe me, Iran would like to sink some of those aircraft carriers. They've already reported they sunk the USS Lincoln twice, which is amazing. Sunk it twice. They which isn't true. But But all of that we've incurred, he said in the past, America's paid all those things, and we don't ask for reimbursement. He wants money back for it. He wants to where we don't get hurt and our taxpayers don't get hurt. Our country isn't paying the bill for for someone else without them helping out. I think that's all fair, and maybe that 20% is that and all that. But, but some will go on and say, "It was a lie, he's jumping all over the place." Read some of his books. You don't know what he's gonna do, and that's the point, and I know Victor David Hanson has talked, quite a bit about what's going on, and he's praising Trump on some of the art of the deal and some of that they don't trust him, meaning the enemy doesn't. They don't know what he's going to do, but they can't figure it out exactly where Trump is. Will he attack? Will he not attack? As you want to talk, can we bluff him into extending, pausing, and playing the same game? And as Victor David Hanson says, Trump is not Obama and not Biden. You're not going to get away with it with him. He's not going to be deterred. He's got a mission. He's going to finish it. And that mission has been and still is opening the Strait of Hormuz and stopping any threat of them of developing, acquiring a nuclear weapon. And he's going to continue to do that, continue to push it. So I think that's true. But to start labeling him as misinformation, lying, not honest with the public, not honest about things, I I don't think so. I don't. Has he been volunteering about damage done to the military in the past from the Pentagon and all that? No, probably not. According to the experts, the guys who are reading it was a little worse than their first reports would have indicated. But I don't think that's an intentional misdirection. But you don't always let the enemy know what's going on, what's happening. Uh, uh, but in the with all of this going on in the world, attempted assassination by Iran, even, and him going to Turkey and meeting with NATO, and he still has time to do some things at home, which is kind of amazing. I don't know how much he sleeps, but he entertained race car drivers the other day at the White House, turn it into a pit stop for an Indy car. I just I'm just amazed at how much fun he has being president. I mean, it's intriguing now. You want to be a president more now because you look at the neat things you get to do. 4th of July, IndyCar stuff, all that stuff. He's living up. There's going to be an IndyCar race in DC. I don't know the date uh, that it's going to be, but he surrounds himself with everything that he just finds enjoyable. August 22nd and 23rd. That's still a ways off, but he's already had the cars there talking about it. It's all part of that celebration thing. And this article says the race will feature a 1.7-mile, 7-turn temporary street circuit. And these circuit races are fun. I've been to quite a few of them over the years. Uh, just I know Denver, LA, San Diego, those kind of things. And they just go by you at incredible speed, so fast. And uh, depending on where you are, you only see a little bit of the street, and it's a blur almost. Spectators will be able to watch car speed past other major landmarks, including Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, National Gallery of Art, the National Archives. Weekend race is part of the broader celebration for America 250 birthday. It is free. That's just amazing. Yeah, I don't know what it costs to put these things on, uh, but it's big money to put it on and to say you admission free, just like the fight they had, admission free. Amazing. He's been able to get that done. That these people have volunteered to do this in celebration for the 250. And then he has a pit stop at the White House. It's gotta be a blast to be president right now. And I saw something on, I don't know what show it was, talking about the pit stop and all the stuff that's going on about the IndyCar race. And it showed Mandani. Now, I think this was just a poke at him, but he was in a go-kart running around track. I don't I don't know if he intentionally did that or if that was old footage. I didn't really pick up on it. I was doing multiple things at the time, but it was kind of hilarious to see him run around in that little go-kart. Uh, and Trump has Indy cars doing pit stops at the White House. You know, and they do an amazing one. If you're not used to the racing, and I love racing. I haven't been in many years. I used to go with Ken Rosevere. Ken Rosevere was a big racer here in town. He was Chamber of Commerce at that time, and we'd go out of town and go to races and stuff but it's fun to go with somebody that's that engaged and that got his head wrapped around it and learning the details of what races are. But the pit stops are seconds. They'll go in and change all four tires and do some adjustments, boom, and gone. Seconds. Fuel it up all at the same time. It's an amazing thing to watch. Very interested in NASCAR, Indy, and I've been to Indy races, Indianapolis 500, those kind of things, which is just such an icon of a race. And the same with Daytona. I've been to the Daytona, just wonderful. It's just the crowds, the stuff around it too, not only the race, but a fun thing. And I've been in the pits as a spectator, but it's amazing thing to watch. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air, Sandy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On Saturday, they gave him a race car helmet, President Trump a race car helmet, and they did a pit stop right there, the Penske crew.
Oh, I saw that.
And,
I didn't see the
people
helmet.
it was like less than 6.5 seconds. I'll probably get that wrong, but it was amazing, and all these guys are so proud to be part of this. Now, one of the big wigs, and I don't know these people well enough to remember a name, he said, we tried to get it where we could go around Congress, but they wouldn't do it. So I don't know if that would have been an extended path or if it was like the original. I have no idea. But President Trump, let's do it. So it's pretty exciting because these entrepreneurs, these businessmen, these capitalists, this great country, these guys are doing it for free. I know there's some, with security, there's security involvement, but it's just amazing to be alive right now. It really is.
It is. And if you get a chance to go down and watch those things, they go by so fast. They would pass an Uber driver. It's just crazy fast that they go down these cars.
I hope, because I know I won't be able to be there, but I hope, I don't know who the best camera people will be. Like I usually watch RSBN, but it would be nice. And I don't know how they would do it, if a drone or if they just have cameras way up. Or I really want to follow it, even though I know I can't be there. And I'm pretty sure that they'll make sure that. And then I wouldn't be surprised if he put big TVs outside, for people to watch too. That are standing near the White House.
Oh, there always
don't know
is.
that. But,
those races typically have big screens, so because you can only see a little bit of the track, but there'll be a big screen all over the place. They put big screens to where if you're watching, you see the cars go by in front of you, but you can look at the big screen and see the whole track and stuff and see what's going on in the pits.
That'll be cool. But
oh yeah,
I wrote down August 23rd. I hope let me see.
That's right, 22nd, 23rd.
August 23rd. That's what I wrote down. But I figured, hey. There's going to be a lot of hey, it's happening. RSBN will notify me. Fox News Live.
But it's
a lot of people are going to do that.
It's free, Sandy. You just go. It's free. Go
I know.
Just
a
plane tickets there. No, it costs a lot.
Yeah.
To get there and get there.
So it makes it harder, and I'm not too enthralled in wearing a diaper or something like some people do.
Yeah, because
if they don't have bathroom access.
It probably won't. I don't know how they do all that. The thing is, you got to know somebody that owns a building that's on the track.
Oh, I know.
And then get invited.
One of my sisters used to live in Maryland, and she took Mother on a tour of the White House years back. and I wasn't able to go. I wish I had. It would have been so much fun.
Yeah.
But and I don't know how, if some of the tours changed. I don't know, but
They
Mother
changed them.
had a blast. It was a
There's
wonderful time for her.
a lot of different tours to take, and we researched it before we started taking tours. We got in with some of these real small ones where it's only like 10 people because we had more access than the big tours. So sometimes you get a tour bus of like 50, 60 people, and they won't take you into some of the other areas where the smaller ones, the niche ones, we got to ride the underground trains that go back and forth under the Senate and House, whatever. And we got to go into the White House Rose Garden, which the big tours usually that's
Cool.
just too many people to funnel around. So it was.
And I don't even know, because I didn't know about that. I'd
Yeah.
have to ask my older sister what
Yeah.
was it like, because I'm sure they took other like families, or they went on other tours, though I don't know how much. They knew Mother would love something like that, so
Oh yeah. But
they planned it out for her.
if you
They took her to different places. I think she got to go visit with the Amish, and different years that she was there. So it's a wonderful time for her. Really wonderful.
Washington
time
D.C. will
for
open
her.
up for you if you go talk to people, and I would recommend if you go see your senators, your representatives, and call them ahead of time. Let them know you're coming, and they'll arrange a tour for you of the Capitol building and stuff. And I've
Oh
done
yeah,
I've
I'm
done
sure
that.
that would be great.
I've had John McCain take me on a tour. And
Well,
he's
I could see him doing it.
oh,
It's
he's
just he became a horse's ass near the end.
well, but
I don't know if the brain cancer affected
I
him,
don't
or
know. But
I don't know.
but he's like a kid. He's just so excited still of pointing out details in the Capitol and details of what's going on and the history and all that. He'll take you into doors that normally you don't get in with tours and that kind of
Well, I
stuff.
think Lindsey Graham, it sounds like he was that way too.
Lindsay
So
and John McCain were best of friends. When John McCain would come to Yuma, he would bring Lindsay with him quite often.
so you got to meet him then.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm
Well,
not
good.
I'm not friends or anything. I shook his hand, but
No, I know.
the John McCain would bring him now into town. Quite a
Well,
when he came.
he's just a big disappointment to me, because I think if they'd gotten rid of that Obamacare, it would have forced everybody to try to work on something better.
Yeah.
And instead they really corrupted things. Like when you go to the doctor's office, it seems like they spend more time trying to type stuff in a computer than they do taking care of you, because they, whatever's required. And I don't remember that happening until Obamacare, so, and I don't have Obamacare. I'm glad of that, but still, I know it's hard on people, but it would have forced them to do a better job. And I know President Trump has tried to make some changes, but there seems to be resistance. I'm just hoping they get this Save America Act passed. I really hope they do that.
It's not dead
and,
yet.
Say again?
It's not dead yet. And I don't know if you saw Thune talking about it after Lindsay's passing.
No, I didn't.
Well, he's committed.
What did he say?
He's committed more now to passing it in his
good.
honor, in Lindsay's honor. Which surprised me. I mean, he was tearing up. I didn't know Thune had emotions at all. and
they seem genuine to you, right?
It did. And he has been stone-faced through this whole ordeal with the Save America Act. And I haven't believed anything he said because he gives it lip service. This is the first time I've seen him that it seems like he actually wants to do what it takes in honor of Lindsey Graham to pass this thing. I just was kind of surprised by that.
It also sounds like Lindsey Graham might have been a better speaker, or not speaker. Is it House Majority
Senate
Leader?
Yeah, Majority or Senate President or whatever. But But
because he
Lindsay,
could work with people and he pushed stuff. But
yeah, but if you
he
start doing
worked behind the scenes, is what I
that's,
understand.
and that was a better place for him. I mean, but because if you're in that leadership role, you're taking on different duties, different things. You're not so stealth. He was more behind the scenes, from what I understand. I like I said, I didn't know him
Right.
personally, but from what I understand, and it may have crimped his style a little bit to have to take the leadership role. I don't know. But plus he wasn't that good of a senator anyway. I mean, he only had $1.3 million when he passed. You know,
Oh, I know.
he was, he's no
He
Nancy
wasn't as
Pelosi.
corrupt as what you're saying. Well, I
Yeah.
see two very sad losses: Charlie Kirk and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, and that,
Because
yeah.
after when Lindsey Graham started working to help get things done, like with President Trump, that's when I started appreciating him. And Charlie Kirk, I really didn't follow that much, but with him, I loved that he spoke to young people.
Yeah.
And he would debate them and try to explain things, and that was, to me, that was just an awesome leadership role.
Oh,
And he filled it perfectly.
I
And
I watched a little bit of him yesterday. Something about him came up, and I watched a little bit of one of his, and it just takes my breath because he's just so wonderfully good at explaining reality to some of the most vicious, radical, lefty communists you would ever want to meet. And he's patient. He listens. I don't know anybody that can hold a candle to that. I don't. And
I agree with you, and that's just a terrific loss, all by a kid who believed lies. And
yeah,
that's really what bothers me so much, is the lies pushed by the media, Democrats, others, because that causes people to and it is his fault, obviously, the kid's fault. He's the one who did it.
yeah.
But he was influenced by all those lies. And they're lies that people still keep repeating to this day. But I had heard that when Charlie Kirk started out, he wasn't as well versed on everything. And I wish I could remember some of the people he met with, and they explained to him that he needed to learn a lot more. And I think it was even learn more about the Bible and just a whole bunch of stuff. And he went back and studied and worked hard and was well prepared, and and worked with people to become that really good leader.
I
Anyway, it's
do know one of them that he met with. In fact, one of them is my friend Edward, that is my fact checker.
okay.
Edward sat down and
Okay.
and supported him when he was like 19, and had dinner with him. In fact, Edward had met with him often. I don't know how often, but he told me, he said, he would take Charlie Kirk and his wife out to dinner, and he would get, corrected by by Charlie at times about, we're just here to talk about family. He would just do family. He wasn't a political guy, really. I mean, he wasn't about just going out and talking politics, apparently. According to Edward, he was exactly what you think he is. He's a very devout family man, religious man, and he wanted to help the country. And he got billionaires
Well, here
behind
we
him.
again, we're talking about a well-rounded man.
Yeah.
That's not just like a one-trick pony. That's not what he was. There was a lot more to him that people didn't understand.
Yeah, so many people are
So
after the
that's
money.
good to hear.
He wasn't
Go ahead.
after the money, but he made a lot of
No.
money. But what did he do with the money? Like he passed it out. How much money did he donate to the state of Arizona to make sure Arizona elections went good for Trump and everything? I mean, Turning Point was about supporting candidates and stuff, not about making Charlie money. And it's
I
amazing.
think it's also about educating the youth.
Oh gosh, yes.
And older people can learn too. They wouldn't turn any of us away.
Yeah.
But that interest in educating young people is just amazing. And I just so far I haven't seen anybody do as well with that role. We have some really smart, intelligent, articulate people in our party. And some of them are, have podcasts.
Yeah.
I can't remember this one guy's name, but some of these guys took over going to the different colleges after Charlie died.
Yep.
And did a pretty good job. But not as good as Charlie. The only thing I regret is they didn't put up that what's the glass called where you can't shoot through it, or done something like that. But Charlie
bulletproof
didn't really
glass?
want that.
No.
Yes, they had done something to protect him more. I think he wanted to appear reachable.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's nothing you can do anything about now. Is you just hope. It took a long time after Reagan before somebody like Trump appeared. And I was talking to one of my relatives yesterday. I see very good people, like J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and others.
Sure.
But that star figure, that well-rounded man. I mean, Trump is very intelligent, athletic. He's got knows how to do entertainment, radio, TV. He's a very well-rounded man, and I don't know if we have anyone of that star quality.
No.
We have very intelligent people, but
you're not gonna.
It may be a while before we get another guy like him or a little bit different.
You're not going to find another one, but we didn't find another Reagan either in Trump. Although the qualities of being different are the same, the qualities of aggressively getting things done are the same. But they're different, and it'll be somebody different come along, and who knows? Maybe it is a Rubio or Vance or something. I have no idea, but it's encouraging.
Well, I can tell you from me, because I got to see both. Trump's better. That's just my opinion. In a lot of ways. Oh, how could you say? I can say it easily. I knew from the day. I knew the day he announced. And my husband was not. He was the Ted Cruz guy for a long time. But I just knew.
Trump came in with more experience, more worldly. He had built businesses all over the world. His foreign policy, of course, has been something he's really sunk his teeth into because he knows the world. And he knows how to negotiate in the world. So he had that over Reagan. Reagan was
what you're talking about on the I'm going to charge 20%. And then after he says that, he's got all these Gulf Coast guys calling him, hey, we got a better idea. So it's really good because it makes it like a strong team. He's not dictating, it's these guys came up with this idea. I think it's a really good idea.
Exactly.
I mean, it's awesome leadership. And of course, the Democrats aren't going to like anything. They can't think outside the box and appreciate what's going on. But I hope the gas prices don't go up super high because that's all people will be talking about again.
I think it's going to take another bump up, obviously, because of what's going on. But depends on how long it lasts. Hopefully, it's coming on so hard and heavy, and he's hitting infrastructure now. He's hitting stuff that can't be fixed. I mean, the first go around, they could repair some stuff, and they did. They repaired some equipment, radar equipment. They repaired some openings to launch more missiles and stuff. This stuff, when you start taking out bridges and power plants and water distribution and stuff, this takes years to build them.
Well, I hope they keep doing that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see them. I don't know how you would pinpoint where and I'll get this wrong, that IRGA, whatever the real radical
Republican
military
Guard,
guys, what are they called? What's their letters?
I forget. It's the Republican Guard.
Too many doggone letters with different things. But, if you could take them out and take out some more of that leadership, that ambassador guy likes to come out and put Trump down. That makes me feel bad in a way because I hate to target people, but I really hate that. But something's got to happen or these guys would blow up the entire world.
I get the impression as long as their ideology survives, I don't think they care about human life. And that's what Trump is accused of.
Oh, no, they don't care about killing.
Right.
They don't care about it at all. I don't, that changed so severely back in the 70s. You wonder how did they allow that radical bunch to get in?
Yeah.
And then I think about how did the Germans let Nazis come in? I think about those kind of things, and in Japan, and I go these communist socialist people this has got to be stopped. You don't want that. That's a terrible, terrible thing that these people want to do.
Yeah.
It's, like it would tear up this country. It would totally change it to like a Venezuela type thing.
I don't
And the
think
kids involved can't see it.
I don't think they're ready to give up yet. I mean, I don't think so. And it makes me think back of World War II. I wasn't around, but we all know the stories of Japan. Japan would have never given up. They were going to fight to the last man.
Right.
And the nuclear bomb is what it took to change their mind. And I don't know what it's going to take for this. But,
Right. Right.
yeah.
But the Democrat Party isn't strong enough to stop them in their own party.
No,
they're too afraid of them.
They are, and they'll send a few plane loads of cash or make a deal that they know sucks, and say, "Yeah,
I
we
was
fixed
talking
it."
about the Democrat socialists in our country. They're afraid of.
Well, I thought. Oh, yeah, I thought you meant they were afraid of Iran.
They're also afraid of Iran. True.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
I mixed that up. But what I was saying is I'm worried about the Democrat, socialist, communists in our country. I don't want the same thing to happen to us that happened in multiple times with Germany and Japan and Iran. Because Iran used to be totally different.
You absolutely should worry because, like you said about Nazis and things, it wasn't the majority that got the Nazis in. I mean, they won a portion of it, and then they took it after that. And that's the way a lot of these regimes go. And same probably in Iran.
And they intimidated everyone.
Yeah.
So you were too afraid to speak up. A few people did. And tried to battle against them. They did attempt to kill Hitler and do stuff like that, but none of that worked.
They do more than intimidate. They killed them. I mean, that was Nazis. It was Castro. It was Venezuela, Russia, China, and these authoritarian communist socialists. They killed them. And just like they did in Iran, they killed 50,000 now, they're saying, protesters recently.
Well, I was lucky enough to have a teacher when I was at Central Union High School. She fled Cuba when Castro came in. And my husband had her as a teacher too, and he said that she had told him that her husband was murdered by them, and they stole their land, and somehow she was able to get away with her two really young sons. And I had never heard, I said, "Are you sure of that?" I didn't know. And we really don't know, but she fled that. So I met somebody who actually suffered under that.
Yeah. And I'm sure the people that have suffered. She
was a good teacher. I was afraid of her. She was really nice in my husband's class. They were older group, I guess. But in my class, I think we had some boys that were a pain in the butt, and I was afraid of her. But I learned a lot.
and I've met people that have left regimes that, threat out of murder and all that, and they appreciate it so much, but they also get so crazy. Like, how can you guys be letting socialists want to get in here? Don't you understand? And the answer is no.
Right.
No, we don't, because the Democrats haven't felt it. They haven't seen it, and they don't believe it. They believe we'll do it better. We'll be a nicer transition to socialists. No, you won't. It's human nature, and it's about power. And these guys like Castro, they take power and they kill everyone it opposes. It's a shame.
Well, she's passed away now.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if they would listen to some of these people that survived different communist regimes.
Nope. They won't.
Probably not.
They just say, well, it's different. This is different.
They can't learn secondarily like we can.
No.
I mean, I learned secondarily.
Some people have to put their hand on the stove to know that it burns. You can't tell them. And my son was that guy.
But they make others suffer. That's the problem.
Yes. And they think they're going to.
Anyway, nice talking to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hope you have a great day, and I'll listen until I got to do something else.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
And I knew a guy from Rhodesia that, in college, he was my instructor in college. He was Rhodesia, and he would tell stories about the throwers of the government. They would kill everybody that was opposition. It's just a regular theme. And that they were trying to kill him. He fled to America and was teaching. Gosh, I think it was history or something. I can't remember the exact class I took. I mean, he was more interesting than the class. But a favorite teacher, great guy, great insights. And I don't even remember his name at this point. I'd have to go back and look at my transcripts. But I decided to take another class with him because I found him so real and so interesting. And the next school year, he was gone. His house was still there. His car was there. Everything was. He disappeared from the planet. He had a lot of people after him because he was vocal about the government Rhodesia when they changed. Let's talk to Mad Mike. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Russell.
How are you doing?
Good, since
Good.
names seem to be interchangeable around here.
Uh-huh.
I met Sparky yesterday.
No, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Remember,
good.
he said he was going to send me a book
Yep.
or two, one from his wife, one from his friend that
Sure.
he published.
Uh-huh.
Well, turns out they're previous customers of us out there at Rahimi Auto. And they came out. I'm not sure when or what he bought, but they
Uh-huh.
came out and hand delivered my two books
That was
to my desk.
nice for Sparky, man. That's good.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's a colorful guy. Was he wearing a bow tie?
No, he was actually dressed rather conservatively.
No, man, I wouldn't recognize
Which,
him.
yeah, I know, kind of surprised me.
Yeah.
And I never heard him say on the air, perhaps he did, or use the name Sparky. I just knew him as Mark.
Right. No, he
But-
said Sparky once or twice yesterday, but I introduced him as Mark.
Yeah. And when he gave my number to he said hello to me, said, "This is Sparky from the Russ Clark show." And I said, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to give your number to my wife." And then when his wife texted me, she said, "Yeah, my husband, Mark, got a car from you a while ago." And I said, "Oh, okay." Anyways, it was very, very nice of them. I haven't had a chance to really do nothing more than just take a quick browse. But both of the books look awesome. Just absolutely good stuff.
Yeah, it's Mark and Veronica. Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
nice people. Really nice.
She used her name, proper name, in her text to me. But now I know Mark equals Sparky. And he mentioned that he might be coming on more often or semi-regularly.
Yeah, he's threatened to. Yeah.
Well, he told me something about Mondays. We'll see.
Well, I know it won't be this coming Monday. I think he's traveling with his granddaughter or something, so
Yeah,
he'll be doing
that's his trip back to Indiana.
I told me the door's open, the door's unlocked, so he might show up.
Indiana and probably Illinois, I think.
I think Wisconsin even. I don't know.
Wow.
I'm
all right. Well,
I'm not going. Yeah.
I hope he has as much fun with his granddaughter as I did with my daughter, who I'm old enough to be her grandpa.
Uh-oh.
But
now, how old is your daughter?
12.
12. Okay, good. I was thinking 12.
Turned 12 last month.
A fun age, actually. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and I'm 64.
So you're young enough to take care of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm young enough to get her graduated to high school.
My granddaughter's 8. I don't feel like I'm old, and I always see like you'd see an 8-year-old or 9-year-old with their grandfather, or grandparents, making sure they get across the street right, making sure they do something like that, instead of helping the kids are helping the grandparents in their. I don't feel like that at all,
And grandpa's getting ice cream out of the freezer and serving it up. And
there you go.
Making sundaes and whatnot.
Dude,
you're older than me.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You're old as dirt.
I am. I know, but I'm still hold together pretty well. I'm still viable.
Very good.
There you go.
Very good.
I can handle the kids, man. Even the 4-year-old, I can handle them.
Yeah. My ponytail throws people off. It makes me look younger.
No, it doesn't. You're kidding yourself.
Just makes me look stupid, huh?
No, I'm not
Well,
going to say that, but you're definitely a hippie or
I'll
something.
tell you what, it keeps the hair out of my eyes.
Yeah, there's another way to do that.
And
I've done that. I keep it out of my eyes. I shave the head.
yeah,
That's it.
I understand. I have all the equipment to uh, razor it down to
Yeah.
a Marine
Yeah.
to a recruit, but nah,
I'm
I just pull it back.
I'm jealous of people with hair, man. That's all. And
Okay.
'cause I couldn't grow it if I wanted to. I don't think I could have a ponytail. No, don't think it's going to happen.
You know what? It takes a lot of commitment. I'm still waiting. I did what I think they call a top knot. Some, with
Like a bun, a man bun.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
man.
see dudes. You see dudes with full on dark beard.
Yeah.
And over the ears and around to the back, it's just shaved down to nothing but the nubs.
I thought you had to register Democrat to have that.
I don't know,
Okay.
but I tried that for probably about 2 years. I got sick and tired of always having to shave the side
Yeah.
and back, and I can't see around the back, so I always had to get something to do it, because if I ever did it, it was like a zigzag,
Mhm.
instead of a line, in the back of my neck. And I've been letting it grow out. It's probably been 3 months now, and it's still, the sides are not long enough to go all the way back and get picked up by the.
Yeah. The hair's not growing as fast as it used to, is what you're telling me.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think that's it. You got to look at your nutrition, man.
Yeah. All right. Can we move on to a pet peeve? Have I used up all my time?
No, you're good, man. What's the pet peeve?
The use of the word liberal.
What
I
about?
hate it when
Okay.
people call the commies, the leftists, the Democrats liberals. They're not freaking liberals. Libertarians are liberal.
Okay.
And there's nothing more than perhaps they are adept at using a liberal amount of BS in what they say, but it just drives me crazy every time I hear people call them liberals.
I think that's fair. I think it has evolved into something much more. It's not liberal anymore. You're right. It is, and they self-identify, and I'm glad, as socialist. At least that's the right step in the right direction. It's more than that too, but it's at least just more descriptive.
I think Rush Limbaugh may have been the cause or the blame
for liberal,
for for the word being used, liberal.
Yeah,
meaning them.
He used it often.
Yeah, many others.
But at that time, it meant something. I mean, something negative, I guess.
Well, that's usually how I see it in the conservative Facebook groups that I belong to, and the memes I see. Liberal is meant as a put down.
I wouldn't call Mandani a liberal. He's definitely communist socialist, all the way. Not liberal. And I think the Democrats have a tough time because their party's really splitting. I mean, there's a lot of the Democrats don't even want to go as far as Mandani. But Mandani seems to be the new favor. And the Mandani people don't think AOC fits in because she's not aggressive enough towards the communist nature.
She's not liberal enough.
No, she's too liberal. She's not communist.
Leftist enough.
Yeah, she's not. And I never thought I'd ever hear that in my life. But she's not enough.
It's kind of funny.
That is crazy. All right, well, I'm gonna try not to use the word liberal. I don't think it has the strength for what's really going on. Now, and they're out in the open. They're not hiding it. They have their own agenda. They want to redo the Constitution. They want to do away with the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the Senate, and just kill it and have one branch of government run everything, appoint everything, and then we'd be a true dictatorship and authoritarian communist type country.
Well, they might hold on to the Supreme Court long enough to pack it to 15 and put 9 or 11.
And that's a dream of theirs, is to say, okay, I'm president now, let's make it 15, and then I'm going to add 6 of my own guys and overwhelm everything. and we'll make it whatever I want to make it. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's happened in other countries. There's other countries that, the executive branch runs as judicial branch. And that's what they want to do. They want to be able to run the judicial branch. Just nuts. It's just it takes away the protections that we were given by our founding fathers, and those protections are those three equal bodies that are frustrating at times, but they're to keep us from somebody taking all the power, running with it, and doing the things that we see in Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, Russia, China, and the things we say we don't want, but yet we're willing to embrace and vote for. Americans are crazy. But uninformed, I think, Mike. I think we need to inform them, and that's our goal.
And uncaring and complacent and lazy.
Some, no question.
Some. Well, you can't just say Americans and not mean some.
Yeah.
You might even mean the majority, but it's still not all.
We got a lot of hardworking, great people. I see them all the time, and sometimes I forget how many that are outside that want something totally different, like live off of government subsidies, and there's so many great entrepreneurish people. In Norton that I interviewed yesterday, he's 36 years old. He's a multimillionaire. He's probably worth half $500 million, and it's self-made, self-driven, and he wants to be treasurer of the state of Arizona because he wants to give back. He doesn't need the money. He could do like Rosie O'Donnell. Rosie O'Donnell hit $100 million. That's what she became worth. And she admitted, like, I hit $100 million and I don't care about anything else. I got enough to take care of my family, my kid, and I'm happy and I'm going. Now, she's the opposite of happy. She's so depressed. She sees a psych every week. But this guy Norton has much more money than Rosie O'Donnell, much more talent and everything else. And he said that's not the reason. I'm working. So it's inspirational to keep seeing people like that.
He mentioned that he has a CEO to run things for him, so he can go out and do what he wants.
Oh yeah,
he's been doing it for about a year now.
He's got total freedom to do whatever he wants, and he wants to bring that expertise, that understanding, that drive into the treasurer of state of Arizona. And of course we got Trump. Trump's worth billions of dollars. What does he do with his time? He doesn't retire, put grandkids on his knee. He says, I'm going to use that drive, that ability, and that gravitas that I've picked up and help the United States of America. And we've got a lot of people. His whole cabinet's like that. So you can't say Americans are lazy. I see too many of it, too much of it that's not. And they need to be more of our mentors, and in a lot of cases they are. We see young Republicans in Yuma as one of the best chapters I've ever seen, where you got like 40 kids that are all potentially that same mold, that want to work in that direction. So a lot of good out there, and we need not overlook it.
I got you. Speaking of President Trump, rumor has it, not only is he not lazy, he also doesn't sleep much.
No. I don't either, but I didn't end up with that result.
I know you're up at 2 or 3 in the morning, but what time do you go to bed?
8 or 9.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're still getting a good 4, 5, 6 hours in.
Yeah. Quite often, I do. 5 hours would be good for me. And it's not that the alarms are ringing and I have to get up. It's like I'm wide awake. I'm ready to go.
No, I know. I'm exactly like you.
Yeah,
I'm exactly like you, and that's why I'm out running around, driving the wheels off my new car.
And that was That was at 2:05 this morning. 2:05 this morning. Wake up, wide awake, jump out of bed. Gingerly, because my legs hurt. I did a heavy lift day on Friday, but I jump out of bed and go, ow.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to shoot you a link to a Facebook post, and you can scroll through the comments and you'll see a couple of my memes on anti-liberal.
Take care.
All right, have a good day. Bye.
That was Mad Mike. Let me see. I got a note here on Facebook. Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin were liberals. The leftists, socialists, progressives are not liberals, in caps. I agree with you, Leighton. And I think, and that's what Mike was saying. And that's, I think we still use the liberal tag. It's not liberal anymore. I got to be aware of that, and I appreciate that help. Got a note from my fact checker, Edward. California just put 109,000 state workers back in the office 4 days a week. Governor Newsom return to office mandate. I can't believe that. Can you? You know, COVID, we sent everybody home, and I think the first one of noteworthiness that said, "We're done with this. If you're not in the office, you're not working for me." That was Elon Musk. Well, now, and that was a couple years ago. Now we got some of them doing the same thing. Trump's been doing that, but Governor Newsom return to office mandate took effect July 1st, requiring California state agencies to make 4 in-office days the standard, up from 2 days. The order affects an estimated 109,000 workers across the state agencies. Unions, including SEIU Local 1000, filed unfair labor practices complaints, alleging the administration refused to bargain in good faith. Government isn't exempt from RTO anymore, and the union response signals how hard the floor on remote work is being contested. Wow, the unions are complaining. What do you mean come to work 4 days a week? Two's the standard in California. I never even knew 2 was the standard in California. It's ridiculous. And that's a holdover from COVID, I think. It's all COVID. I mean, COVID sent everybody home, started working from home. And then we realized we got all these vacancies in big cities, you know, office space at 30 and 40% vacancies in some places. And they got to go back to work. You're just more productive. I can't work from home effectively, man, because there's a refrigerator at my home, and it just seems to be a distraction. And I don't want to put on the pounds anyway. I have gained a few pounds because of I'm going to blame it on things. You know, I can't take responsibility, but the AFib that slowed me down in the gym kind of wasn't happy about it. So I put on a couple pounds there, and then to take care of the AFib is an ablation. It's a surgery that goes in and actually deadens part of the heart that's causing electrical impulses improperly. Well, they put a pacemaker in. A month later, did the ablation, and it knocked me off my feet for a while. I just wasn't doing everything I should. Now, I think I'm back completely, pretty much, but I'm probably 15 pounds heavier than I was at my very lightest within the last 6 months, and it kind of just happens all at once. No, it doesn't. It happens, and I ignore it. I'm not ignoring it now, and I've got to make sure I get that back. But it was amazing. I let myself do that. I watched it. I let it, and it was because we have a refrigerator. I think if we did away with the refrigerator, probably would find some other way to find it. I don't know. Let's see. I wanted to talk about Mandani. He started talking about, the city of New York, how its crime rate is improved, it's improved. That's not higher. It gets lower to improve. He's got higher. But there's one, and I always question it when these people come in and start doing that, because many have been busted over the years that we've seen. Some of them recently, they go into a major city like LA or something, and they get the crime rate down off the books. Well, because they tell cops to not report it, report it as a misdemeanor or something instead of what it is. So they change it, which means the streets probably became worse, but our numbers look good. And then they get fired, and the mayor will blame, well, it was this bad police chief or something. I don't think so. And I don't know what's going on in New York. Some of these numbers going down may be true because so many people left, but the people left had the jobs and the money. The people that came in were probably illegals. And of course, in the nation, the crime rate's going down all over because ICE is out there cleaning up some of the problems that never should have hit the street in the first place. But anyway, there's raising in rapes. Now, what I find interesting in that is if you're cheating on the books, if the police officers are seeing them, a felony and saying, well, we're going to call it a misdemeanor so it doesn't hit the books as is a felony. And if you do that, you can't cover up some of things like rape, or you can't cover up death. It's gonna be a coroner's report and all that stuff. So rape went up. Well, I'm of the belief that probably doesn't mean the streets are safer if rape's going up. So how could the other crimes go down? Well, let me read you what Bandani says when that it's low. He says, and what I think is important to know is a lot of the increase in rape also comes from an expanded definition of what counts as rape, as well as survivors coming forward for acts that took place prior years. And we are thankful for them coming forward, the courage, the bravery it takes, but just to provide New Yorkers with that context. So he's saying it's not up if we were counting apples to apples using the same definitions, because now rape is more than rape. Yeah, they're going after, which is ridiculous. They have to change the names and stuff. According to Susan Zong, the Democrat New York City Council member, she says expanding the legal definition of rape was an important step forward, recognizing more survivors under the law. But it should never be used to deflect from the responsibility to reduce sexual violence. Survivors deserve leadership, action, accountability, and justice. They don't deserve deflection. Well, I don't know exactly what the expanded thing of rape is, but I remember when Trump was accused of rape, or that wacko girl, I forget her name now, and of course he was convicted of some kind of sexual something that wasn't physical contact. So I guess that's what they're talking about. Like, rape is telling somebody something sexually off color or something. Which I didn't really get that. But anyway, it's all a lie anyway, because his numbers are up against the numbers since that's been into effect. It's not new. Let's take a phone call. Gilbert, good morning.
Yeah, you're right, Russ. They changed the crime.
Yeah.
Remember when $500 was a felony?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now it's you can get caught with $1,000 prize, and it's a misdemeanor, if not more.
Yeah, that's specifically in California. I think, I don't know if that's a state by state or what that is, but I think it's 1,000 also in New York.
Yeah. So, and then simple assault versus assault.
Yeah.
You get beat up and stuff, and it's a simple assault.
Well, they did that. They did that to clean up the numbers. That way, it wasn't that bad a beating. You only had 2 days in the hospital.
Right. Exactly. Then you get your sexual assaults.
Yeah.
They even, it's crazy. It's crazy to make it look easy for them, but we have our own problems. But this coming Saturday, July 18th. If you want to save the republic, as we do, Foothills Republicans invite all conservatives to an open mic together. Bring your thoughts and current events, political candidates, and the state of Arizona. Let's try to figure out what's going on with Arizona, how we can save Arizona and the United States of America.
Yeah,
we got a lot of shady candidates out there.
Well, and we need conversation, Gilbert,
Yes,
and it's great to have conversation and clear up misunderstandings and more, better definition of exactly what's going on and how to address the problem and who's the right candidate to address it. I think that's great.
Right.
It's great that you're doing that.
The thing is, we all have our own opinions, but we can work with each other in our opinions.
Yep.
I learned a long time. I don't always have to be right, but I can, I'm the type of person that weigh things out. I weigh things out.
Well, the more information we give everybody, the better decisions we're going to make.
Yeah, and there's so many falsehoods out there, especially with AI. A person can generate a story in AI and make it sound like it's true.
Yep.
We see it more and more every day. Matter of fact, President Trump, I can't remember the reporter he was talking to yesterday, or early this morning, they were talking about that school they got hit with hundreds of kids were killed, and they can't prove whether it's America. They say it was America, and they say it was a tomahawk. Somebody wrote up, and President Trump said, with AI, you can make it sound like we did it.
Yeah.
And people will believe it.
Unfortunately, the ability to lie to us has become much greater
and easier. And easier. And that's the thing is, people that aren't really involved or don't really study, they get convinced we are the bad guys. But look at all the soccer people from different countries come to America, and they go, man, this is not what we were taught. We were taught you guys were really bad and blah, 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 blah. But look I can get refills on sodas, and on and on and on. So that's what we're dealing with, Russ.
Yeah.
We're dealing with all that kind of garbage. And you want to hear something? What sounds like a railroad train coming down the tracks, and it turns out to be water?
Oh, flash flood of some kind?
How about a microburst on my house yesterday?
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It tore off part of our front awning.
How'd that work out?
Well, we can sit underneath the awning now and look at the stars.
Okay. Not well for the awning then. Not good.
Not good. We got about I'd say 8 panels gone. And hey, we were blessed. Nobody got hurt. My trike was underneath the awning. It didn't get scratched or anything. I lost my little bougainvillea bush, which was looking really pretty, but it got split in the center. So yeah.
Wow.
And my panel wound up in my neighbor's yard.
So and that was just confined to a small area out there in the foothills?
Yeah. Yep. Right at my house.
Wow. So
yeah. First, it was our RV Sunday morning.
Yeah. Took the
Before
roof.
that, we had to get our tires replaced in the car.
Yeah.
Then the RV, then our awnings. It comes in 3. I hope it's over.
Man. Yeah, you're getting hammered, buddy. Be careful.
Yeah, but you know what? The Lord blessed us. Nobody got hurt. My daughters didn't get hurt, so that all counts.
Yeah.
That crap is just structural. That can be replaced.
Yeah.
So we're good about that. That's the only way to look at it, right, Russ?
I get
Positive way of looking at it.
Oh yeah, it's just a thing, man. Yeah.
Just a thing.
Just a thing.
Yeah.
Just
And,
you manage your way through it. That's all.
Yeah. And I'm still watching TV, looking at all these idiots, and listening to Sandy with Charlie Kirk and all that.
Yeah.
There's a lot worse things than my damn panels and my RV out there.
That's a healthy attitude, buddy. It'll all work out.
It'll all work out.
Get
Anyway,
Carl out there with a paintbrush and a hammer. It'll work.
Oh, we can't work together, Russ. You know that.
Yeah. Okay. Let her do the baked goods. You just do the work. All right, man.
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you,
later, man.
Bye-bye. As Gilbert having bad luck, from acts of God, they call that, just a microburst. I've never had that happen to me. Let me say, I got a note here from organization in New York City that a business of a firm put in a bid, to build a building for housing housing homeless and all that kind of stuff. Well, the project requires that 20% of the construction workforce identify as LGBTQ plus, which should be illegal, I think, hiring people based on those kinds of, but it's got to go through court. I think the Supreme Court's been pretty firm on that you can't put people on because of identification for, DNA or whatever. But of course, states are still doing it. New York City, no different. A lot of them, and I got some stories here on how they're hiding it. Sometimes they still do it, but don't put it in writing. And that's probably the way this one is they probably didn't put it in writing as such. Other than, it's financially people with financial hardships and they don't identify that it's LGBTQ plus hardware. But LGBTQ plus is a low bar now after I read that one article that to qualify as LGBTQ, is, it can be other, you know, lesbian, homosexual, transsexual, bisexual. Bisexual, is I kissed a girl and I liked it. And then other, so that everybody can join. It's open. But it would increase the project cost of this building by 23%, which made it not viable. And that's the government doing it. And that's the government doing it. To make it more expensive, to make it so it's unachievable. And that's in New York City. So the project's done. It's the builders are not going to risk that and go into it knowing that it's financially not viable. So the city that wants it done, they want the things to be built. They want a housing project to be built. Are shooting themselves in the foot because they put so many requirements on it from construction and stuff. And I read a story on that the other day about livable housing and stuff. I don't even think I have that here, but the amount of days it takes to build a house in California or I think it was Arkansas or something. It's amazing roadblocks, amazing expenses, government inspections and government holdups for authorization and permits and all that kind of stuff. They just make it stupid expensive in different states versus others. California is good at making it. I mean, New York State and New York City make it expensive at this point to where they're not going to get the things built that they want. They can't move forward. And you wonder why people are moving to the right to work states. You wonder why they're wanting to go to states like Texas or Arizona, whatever. And Arizona's on the edge, man. We can't let it go complete communist. But just simple things like they make it so complex to put a building together. And my understanding, and I haven't hired anybody in a while aggressively. I used to interview a lot of people every week, but it's not legal to ask certain questions. It's not legal to put on an application certain things like age because you don't want age discrimination, race because you don't want race discrimination, sexual preferences. I can't imagine it's even legal to put on an application. Sexual preferences. How the hell do you know whether somebody's LGBTQ or not? And of course, I've asked that from government agencies. It asked me to fill out a form once on the racial makeup of my business by percentages, racial makeup. I had 100 employees. They want to know what percentage were Hispanic or Black, or whatever. And I called them and said, well, it's illegal for me to ask or put that on their application. How do I get that information? She said, guess. They said, guess. So if I was doing the project, I would just guess everybody's an LGBTQ plus. So it's 100%. It's 100%. Yeah, I saw that guy. I was sure he was LGBTQ. Well, I took a look. It gets ridiculous and expensive, and it's hurting people. It's hurting businesses, and it hurts the people that voted for these yahoos in office that are making stupid decisions. Sometimes you get what you vote for. Let me get back to rape. Not really back to rape, but rape is going up in New York City. Of course, they've expanded the definition to mean sexual assault or something. Go figure. But even that falls apart because that change happened not recently. It happened a few years ago. It happened in 24. Yeah, Governor Kathy Hochul signed that into the law about the definition of rape. And it's called the New York's Rape is Rape Act. Rape is rape, which makes rape something that's not rape, calling it rape is rape. That's the name of the act. Rape is rape, which is contradictory to what the act is. The act is making other things rape that aren't rape or weren't rape before. and now it is rape. And they say, well, rape's gone up. Well, it's because you're calling everything rape, maybe. That started in 24. It went into effect in September of 24. So when Mandani says that, well, the reason we have rape going up is because we changed the definition and we just have more of it. Well, that's not true because that definition was in a year before you got into office. So somehow, Mandani, people are so happy with you being mayor, they're raping people. It's all ridiculous. And Mandani's explanation is ridiculous. Well, we just expanded the definition. Riley Gaines, the activist Riley Gaines, she's an activist now. How did women vote for this guy is her only comment. How did they vote for Chip Roy, Representative Chip Roy out of Texas? Rapes are up, rents are up, foreign diseases and parasites spreading, historic churches burning left and right. Elect the third world, get the third world. Awesome. Outkick founder Clay Travis. Sure, New York City rents hit an all-time record high today, but at least the mayor's still very eloquent on social media. Whoops. Tons more. The conservatives are not kind at pointing out when they point out the hypocrisies and the ridiculousness of what's going on in New York. Here's some of the stats in New York. I did look them up because this article didn't give them, but they put out stats already through mid 26. They didn't wait till the end of the year. They did it mid 26. So Mandani could say we have great results, and they show murder is down 20.9% halfway through the year versus halfway through last year. It's now down to 102 murders versus 129 last year at this time. Robbery down 19.5%. 871 robberies this year, 1,082 at this time. Grand larceny is only down 4.6%. 17. Now this is grand, over $1,000. They raised it to $1,000, and we still have 17,716 reports in New York. Imagine how many are not reported. Versus last year, 18,576, whatever. But crime is still higher right now. The murder, the grand larceny, all of it, even though I don't trust the numbers, it's still higher than it was pre-pandemic. In 2019, still higher than that. They're showing improvement from last year, except rape's higher. Rape's more popular, I guess, is what they're trying to tell us. Let's talk about Trump for a minute. The Trump is specifically Iran, which he's been showing some passion of not working with them now. That he's kind of done, and I think that's the right thing to do, right thing to portray, because they're not listening. They're not listening. Trump said the other day he wants to take over Carg Island. He envisioned, taking that over and working it. Now there's some problems. Now Carg Island is where they do, it's an island. It's only 16 miles off the shore of Iran. It's an island. It's 8 square miles in size, so it's good size. And last I read, there was like 8,000 permanent residents. Residents that live there. Most of them work in the oil industry that is stationed on Carg Island. I didn't know some of the history of Carg Island. I got some of that here. It's been a focal point. Like 100 years ago, it was a focal point, so it hasn't changed. But for different reason, it wasn't doing oil back then. Trump has talked about taking it. Now, taking it would be fairly easy with our Marines and the ships they got and the helicopters and all that. They could take Carg Island probably really fast. Problem would be keeping it. That's according to Vice Admiral Robert Howard, retired. He says there's a lot of ways to skin the cats. He says U.S. Naval and Air Forces established complete control over the battleship space giving Iran defenders an opportunity to surrender before major fighting begins. The goal, he said, would not simply be capture the island, but to preserve the oil infrastructure that could one day serve as a post-Islamic Republic government. The real objective at the end of the day is to minimize risk, this according to the admiral, not only to your own forces, but to the people you're coming in contact with, while also limiting damage to facilities that could eventually be handed to a government of Iran that is focused on supporting its people as opposed to proliferating the Islamic Revolution. Uh, Trump is in favor of this retired admiral's assessment that preserving the Karg Islands facility would likely be a key military objective. And Trump says he's instructed the U.S. forces during previous strikes to hit everything but the oil, which they have. They've taken strikes on Karg Island even recently, last few days, on military stuff, and don't hit the oil. That's pretty great that we've got that kind of precision. We didn't have that in World War II. Yeah, you kind of looked at the wind and the direction and did your best. You got close. Close wouldn't count out there. It's too close. You probably would lose everything. But damaging the terminal could have significant consequences for the global economy. And terminals like that, I think, would take that. Those are big projects that would take significant time, probably years. Military experts, though, saying that's the easy part. Easy part is capturing the island. The hard part is holding it. Because it's only 16 miles away, and the fact that they could send in missiles and bombs and all kinds of drones and all that kind of stuff, it's just a big risk, a risk of the personnel, risk of everything else. But they say the importance of this island, according to this article, that British forces occupied the island during a confrontation with Persia, back when it was Persia. They changed names. It was Persia. In 1838. And again in the Anglo-Persian War in 1856. Location near the island to apply pressure on Tehran. Nearly a century later, Iran selected Karg as the oil terminal. Construction began in the 1950s. So it's been an oil terminal for a lot of time. I haven't heard anything that says they're going to go in and take that, because there hasn't been a commitment to troops on the ground. At all. But according to our Admiral Harold, Iran doesn't really have air power. The concern is whether they can launch missiles and drones at the island. With U.S. forces on the ground, it's a big risk. And I like the fact that they're not jumping into that. If they start striking Karg itself, they could become accountable for damage of their own economic lifeline, meaning Tehran, if we did go in there. But I don't think they care. I don't. I mean, or maybe they do care, but they would be short-sighted and they would say, oops, I forgot. That would disturb. I don't know. I don't, who knows who's running the country. They've been through how much leadership in the last year. How much leadership have they been through since Trump started? And their suggestion that when they did hit these ships previously in the last few months, that it didn't come from leadership as we know it. It came from, there were some rogue people in the field that had the weapons and said they took it upon themselves. But that's a suggestion. I don't think there's been we don't really know, but there seems to be a real disconnect from from what's going on versus the leadership. Oh, have an article about some hearings that just happened. Let me say that this was Tuesday. What is day? Wednesday. It's, today's hump day. Representative Mary Miller, Republican out of Illinois, was interviewing a couple of deans of medical schools and stuff like that about whether men can have babies. That sounds surreal, doesn't it? They didn't do this 50 years ago. We should have had this locked up years ago. We should have done that. The Representative Mary Miller was asked Dr. I think it was Dr. Sam Hayward. You see UCFS classroom guide titled Framework for Gender and Sex Concepts in Teaching advises against using the term pregnant women. And that's what talking to the chancellor there. Uh, and instead of saying, and asked about DEI's impact on, trying to point out DEI's impact on medical school. She says, instead, it says to use pregnant people. Who are pregnant people compared to pregnant women? Just curious. That's the question. First she points out the guidelines and all that. So Dr. Sam Haywood responded. He says, well, that terminology is part of a curriculum to help our students who face a wide diversity of patients before saying the vast majority of pregnancies are in women, and that he has absolutely no problem with the term pregnant women. Miller says, has a non-biological woman ever had a baby? She asked of that response. Transgender people can. So the good Representative Miller said, that's not a biological woman. Has a non-biological woman ever had a baby? Well, Dr. Haywood said, I would reiterate. And Miller interrupted him and said, it's ridiculous. She didn't stop there. She also talked to a Dr. Steve Dubinet, dean of the UCLA School of Medicine. And Dr. Dubinet required course UCLA Medical School advises OBGYN students not to, and I quote, assume gender identity. Should have saved the term ridiculous for that one. She says, okay, from another class in May of 26. It included a disclaimer that while it uses the term she and women, it does not intend to exclude, and I quote, those who have a uterus but do not identify with these terms. What does that mean? That's a great question. And you see, I bring these up, and it's a sad state of affairs that we have these kinds of things going on, that there's gender identification and gender confusion caused by the leadership in our schools, our medical schools even. Well, Dr. Stephen Dubinet says, I'm not familiar with that announcement, and I'd have to read the entire thing. Well, Miller says, and ask, can someone have a uterus and not be a woman? Because it seems like your school is promoting that ridiculous idea. Dubinet says, the school is treating transgender people, but we're doing that in compliance with the state and federal law. In other words, you can tell that Steve didn't answer the question. He just went to the fallback. We're just following state law and all that stuff. They have no comment probably. Miller again asked Dubinet if the school teaches biology, which he said, yes, we do. At least I got an affirmative answer. This is curious. So I'm going to ask you again. Can someone have a uterus and not be a woman? Just say yes or no. Can they? Of course, I don't even have to read this. You guys all know. He didn't answer yes or no. He said, again, I would. And she just cut him off. And, it got cut off. It said, Miller's time has expired. The committee chair cut him off. Miller, time's expired. So Dubinet but he wasn't going to say yes or no. He was just going to give the same diatribe about, we're just following the law. Miller says that's what your medical school's promoting, Chairman. It's clear that these medical schools are hiding DEI curriculum under the guise of medical access. It shouldn't take a medical degree to answer a basic biological question. This hearing exposed that our medical schools have become consumed by political ideology and they're losing sight of reality. Patients just want doctors grounded in common sense. Medical schools that abandon scientific truth should lose their accreditation. Well, good. Good for Mary. The House Education and Work Committee held a hearing training activists, not physicians. and it's the impact of DEI on medical schools. A hearing focused on whether diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives at medical schools, including the University of California, Los Angeles, the University of California, San Francisco, and the University of Illinois, have shaped admission policies, contributed to anti-Semitism, and influenced medical school curricula. Well, I think they're getting answers. The question is, once you get those answers that DEI is well and strong, and they've done it through policy and deniability, what are you going to do about it? I think it's yet to be determined. I don't think we've gotten an answer from them at this point, and we should. See I need to take a break, and I'll be right. I promise you. I'll be right back, but in fact, in a hurry, because there's things I got to say yet. We'll be back.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. We are going to get to my remarks and Q&A as always, but I do have the FBI director with me here, Kash Patel. You all know him well, and he's here to provide
Hey, yeah, I'm back with you. Mortgage One Studios, Russ Clark. Back with you. It's 7:41. You know, I haven't done that a lot. I haven't called the time. I used to all the time. But the phone lines are open, 928-941-0304. I want to talk about Mark Kelly for a minute. Something happened a week ago or so, but Mark Kelly, I'm not a fan. That's our U.S. Senator, Mark Kelly, here, Democrat out of Arizona. He got behind the Mexico football team, or soccer, as you know it here. And he was out there on social media. He has, and this article says it appears Kelly might have a conflict of interest based on how patriotic he's feeling towards Team Mexico in the World Cup match. Kelly says lots of people turned out in Tucson to watch Mexico take on England. Tucson and La Rosa sure know how to do the World Cup. Kelly boasted on Twitter. He proudly posted photos of himself wearing a Team Mexico jersey, smiling ear to ear and all that sad. But you'll never guess who barely mentioned U.S. news, U.S. soccer. Well, Kelly, of course. He hasn't been to a Team USA watch party. He hasn't worn a Team USA jersey to a party. Mark Kelly, Kelly sure hasn't bragged about it like he did Sunday when England went into enemy territory, sent the Mexicans on a Cancun vacation with the 3-2 victory. That's rude. He only mentioned Team USA. He just doesn't. I see Kelly more and more just opportunistic and anti-USA. I think he's more Trump deranged syndrome than he is pro-USA. He cares more about hurting Trump than he does helping the United States, in my opinion. But he jumped on the Mexican thing right away. I just think it looked like political pandering more than anything. And so why wouldn't he back the USA team if it's political pandering? Well, I think on the left, USA is Donald Trump right now. I think. I'm guessing. If I'm wrong, let me know. But I think it's more USA. So he just wouldn't get behind it, but he got behind the Mexican because he felt like his constituents more relate, I guess. My Mad Mike's back with me. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, you pushed the wrong button.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Mark Kelly.
Oh
my God.
He's been horrible. I mean, just repulsive.
Name me a recent senator that has not been. Besides your best buddy, McCain, which I don't necessarily agree with.
McCain's not around right now, but
I understand. No, I said recent.
Well, Lindsey Graham was great up until the other day.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I don't like Lindsey either. I mean Arizona. We're talking about Arizona.
Oh, Arizona. Well, we don't have one in Arizona right now. It's certainly not Gallego. He's a little creepier than Kelly.
You know who was probably the most right-leaning, at least? The red dress girl.
Who?
I can't remember her name. She was the flaming liberal that wore a red dress to the State of the Union address and wouldn't stand up with all the Democrats cheering on Biden. You know who I'm talking about.
No, I don't. Come on. It's escaping me.
U.S. She was a U.S. senator like 8 years ago,
Okay.
before Mark Kelly, and she
In the
had-
United States?
decided
I mean,
not to-
in Arizona?
in
Oh,
state of Arizona, US
the
senator.
one that didn't wear white.
or black.
Yeah. I'm going to get it right here.
Good. I'm driving. I don't have access
And-
to my Google.
And that would have been about 2016 or so.
Oh, come on.
I don't have it. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I know
But
who
you
you
know who-
mean now.
Yeah. Gabby.
Yeah,
That wasn't Gabby Gifford. No, it wasn't Gabby Giffords. It was. Oh man, I can't believe I can't. I got old man's disease like you wouldn't believe, buddy. She was a U.S. senator from
I
the
know.
state of
And a
Arizona in
very
the last
Democrat.
10 years. Very liberal. Yet she voted, against either Obama or
For the
Biden.
Obamacare.
Yeah,
I can't
quite
pull
a
it
bit.
up. I'm not good at it.
We're sad.
I know.
Sad state of affairs when a couple old men can't even remember their own
I know.
U.S. senators' names.
Anyways, yeah.
She was better than Flake. She was better than their current iteration of senators. And in my opinion, it's debatable whether your buddy was McCain was that great. But
well, there's a lot of things
he
I
wasn't
liked about him.
that
yeah.
bad either. Well, I didn't like him giving the finger to the appeal or repeal of the Obamacare Act, for one. All right. Well, anyways, back to the purpose of the call. I do not like Kelly. Mark Kelly. And he gets a lot of cred or kudos for being an astronaut and in the service, and he, with all of that, he definitely should have known better than his statement of not complying with an illegal order. You don't need to tell people not to comply with illegal orders. He clearly meant not to comply with any orders from President Trump, in my opinion. And sorry, but I hate that guy.
Well, me too.
All right.
Not
I got my quarter in 2 bits.
All right.
And time to go shower and sell some cars.
Be good, man. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, buddy.
All right. Now it's escaping me. Who was the senator that he's talking about? And as soon as you say it, I'll know. I don't know. I can't. I'm asking the AI. It's not telling me. It's giving me state senators. I mean, the AI is misunderstanding me. Kirsten Sinema. That's it. That's who he's talking about. It's Kirsten Sinema. And I kind of liked her a little bit. I mean, not her politics, but I did like her. She was a smart gal. And I interviewed her quite a bit. She was one that was in the state Senate when Obama was president, and she was the one that really had a project to push Obamacare through and support it. So I had her on the air quite a bit to discuss it, debate it, but smart gal, but she really loved Obamacare. But she's the one that kept the filibuster from going through back when Biden was president. And then of course she lost her seat, unfortunately. Let me see. And then we got Gallego. Multiple, there was some people rescued. I don't really know what happened here, but I saw a picture of it and it was horrendous. I don't know how it turns over. It was a pontoon boat. You know what a pontoon boat? Pontoon boats are fairly stable. They have, 2 pontoons, instead of a V-shape hull. Very stable. I see them out here, but people fishing on them, party boats, something like that, because they're not easily tipped over. they had one out in San Francisco there near Alcatraz Island. It's off the coast of the island there, and it sank with 23 people on board. Of course, just looking at it from from the pictures, it didn't look like it was that big a boat. Like it might have been a little bit over, you know, over its capacity there, but I didn't really get it. But it said it's a Crispin described as a vessel as a 3-deck pontoon boat. Well, maybe it was taller than I think. Then it was bigger. 600 yards. I just saw an aerial photo. 600 yards from Alcatraz Island when it capsized, and they got calls about a fire. And when the Coast Guard got there, they pulled 17 people were pulled from the water, some of them in the boat, and the engine was still running as it was capsized, and fuel was leaking into the water. And all that sounds good. Sounds not good. They still haven't found 3 people. All right, I want to know more about what happened here, but occupants were found inside the top compartment of the vessel, were rescued with the engine running in gas and reports of fire. And it happened at 3:00 in the afternoon, 3:30. And they found no evidence of the fire, though, which is good. But there was reports there was a fire, but they found no evidence. But authority says the U.S. Coast Guard have 11 vessels and divers and helicopters searching for the 2 missing people. There's 2 missing right now. I don't know how those things capsize. I thought they're pretty stable. So be careful out there. A lawmaker, and this happens every once in a while. It's happened in the state of Arizona, where a lawmaker, one of the state senators, state representatives, gets in trouble traffic wise, speeding. And there's laws that say something about police can't stop a legislator from attending session or coming home from a session. And so some lawmakers have been speeding and say that, it's part of their job. I don't know if they've gotten away with it. I can't remember the outcome of those cases here in the state of Arizona. This one's in New Hampshire, and it's very much the same way. There's a Representative Ellen Reed who was accused of driving more than 100 miles an hour, and then another time at 92 miles an hour. And she's arguing about this fine and this arrest. She's arguing because she says she was unlawfully stopped and detained because her New Hampshire Constitution protects lawmakers from being arrested or held to bail while they're traveling to or returning from the general court. And she's contending here that the charges she got were stemmed from an unconstitutional stop and should therefore be dismissed. And I've heard that argument before. I think it was explained at one time that, okay, we're not going to press charges until the legislature closed, and then we'll do it or something. But this happened in 2024. Authorities said she drove more than 100 miles an hour on State 31 in Wyndham. And the second case again in June 25, she's doing the same thing. She was just going to 92 at that time in the 65 mile an hour zone. She has representative license plates and told officers she was returning from a legislative session. At the time of the stop, Ms. Reed was a sitting member of the New Hampshire House of Representatives. She was traveling in a vehicle bearing a New Hampshire state representative license plate. I don't know if we have a separate license plate for legislators. I don't know. I'm not going to become one just to get it, but it would be interesting. She informed the deputy she was returning from the general court, and she took it to court. She said she's not arguing the Constitution shields lawmakers from prosecution, but instead she protects them. It protects them from being stopped while traveling to and from duties. I don't know how a police officer does that. You're doing 100 mile an hour in a 65 mile an hour zone. I don't know how I just go. Well, she goes on about it, but she says the plain reading of the Constitution says that the legislators cannot be stopped on their way to or from the duties. She also says, and She openly says it says nothing about being ticketed or arrested at the end of the commute, and nothing about prosecution. That's not her contention. She said it was done wrong, though, that they shouldn't have stopped her. They should have followed her, I guess. Under the plain language of the New Hampshire's Constitution, defendant was unlawfully detained, seized, arrested in violation of her legislative privilege. All evidence illegally obtained should be suppressed and the criminal charge dismissed. And this is a 1784 provision, which that was before they made a car that would do 100 mile an hour. It doesn't matter, but the intent of the law, I guess, was put there so that no shenanigans was played to swing a vote by arresting your legislature. And the provision reads, no member of the House of Representatives or Senate shall be arrested or held to bail on mincing process during this going to, returning from, or attending upon the court. Now, Reed says, and the representative, that provision is intended to prevent local officials from delaying lawmakers and interfering with legislative votes, not to exempt legislators from criminal liability. It was always the commute itself that it was meant to protect it, not the legislator protected from breaking the law. She admits that. It wasn't to protect me. It was to protect me from getting there and getting back. She said the petition argues that the New Hampshire Supreme Court has never interpreted the scope of the provision in roughly 240 years since it was ratified, calling it a constitutional question of first impression, and that the state's highest court has never squarely addressed. So I guess she's the first one to challenge it, or to say that it protects me. I shouldn't have been detained. I shouldn't have been arrested, and therefore everything that was done after that should be thrown out. I guess it makes sense if you're a lawyer. The question is not whether a sitting legislator is above the law. It's about traveling to and from the duties should receive the same fictional analysis applied to police. We should have the same as any police officer that is going to an emergency or emergency medical technicians who violate traffic laws while performing their official duties. That's her argument. I was performing my official duties, just like a police officer would to go to a crime scene, or a medical emergency technician going to somebody that needs help. Judge rejected the whole thing in her first case. But I guess because she's a nice lady, they lowered the charge to guilty of negligent driving on August of 25, fined her $1,240. With half of that fine deferred, she was allowed to keep her license as long as she maintained good behavior for 2 years, which obviously she did not. And she completed a safe driving course and avoided additional moving violations, which don't know about the driving course, but she got caught going 92 mile an hour after that. She later asked the New Hampshire Supreme Court to take up the constitutional question before the second speeding case proceeded. Court declined, denying her petition without prejudice and allowing her to raise the argument again in the future appeal that complies with court rules. So I guess you got to get convicted first. And I find it interesting that she's working so hard to try to get off on this thing. 92 and 100. I mean, that's aggressive. I'm not the best driver around. I'll occasionally go faster than I should. Not that. And something they write about this is that she said it wasn't even possible to do 100 miles an hour because she was driving a 2009 Toyota Yaris. Now, a Toyota Yaris, I think, is the smallest, cheapest car Toyota makes. Yeah, it's kind of like a Yugo. Yeah, Yugo with window defrosters, but it's and she says it has more than 440,000 miles on it, and I want to see that car. 440. That's a lot. I mean, it's possible, but that's a lot. Most people won't keep fixing them that long, especially a Yaris that old. It's not usually. She said it simply cannot go that fast, so I had to look it up. It's got a 1.5 liter inline four with 106 horsepower. Well, that Suzuki I drive around is a inline four with 95 horsepower. There's no way I could reach the way it's geared now. I can't reach 100 miles an hour for sure. I couldn't reach 90 miles an hour on that thing. In fact, out of the factory, when it was new, and it's actually a Geo, it's labeled as a Geo. It's actually Suzuki, but that's when Geo was putting their name on it. But it had a top end, according to the book, 85 miles an hour. That's it. If you get you get flat and level and no headwind, you're 85 mile an hour. I've never seen 85 in that thing, but it's not a highway car. I would never drive it to Phoenix. I'd get run over. But this Yaris is geared differently. It's made for the road. Mine's made for off-road, not exclusively, but it's an off-road vehicle, so the gearing's different. But the top speed on that Yaris is 109 to 120, according to the books. But real world, what people report that own them, it's 92 to 115, depending on wind conditions, gearing, and the load. So it'll do 100 miles an hour, but you would have to be grinding that pedal into the floorboard to do that. Possible for her to say it can't do it. If I was a judge, I'd throw that out. But it's dangerous. I mean, that car's not made for speeds like that. I'd be careful. Reed also criticized the lack of body cameras and footage, and that's amazing. I remember when body cameras first came out, people complained that they had them, privacy, which is ridiculous. If you're in public, there's no privacy at that point. You're in public. You can turn on a camera. But now they complain if you don't have one. Well, you got to drop the charges because there was no camera to prove that I did it or whatever. We've really flipped on that now, and I think by and large most people would want police officers to have a camera for their protection, as well as the police officers' protection, and I think that's true. Oh, Edward. Okay, let me finish up with this. The unconstitutional manner of the stop does not change, therefore, the topic of the discussions in this case. And she wants it thrown out because it was unconstitutional to stop her. Not that she's above the law, but since you did stop her unconstitutionally, anything that happens, the poison pill thing after that should be thrown out. I don't think she'll win. Recently, Moana, the Disney film. I don't know if you have grandkids or kids out there that went to go see Moana, but I did. I saw it was a well done movie. I liked it a lot. I have to go see it with the kids. It's not a movie I'd go through by myself, but I thought it was well done. I gave it was great appreciation. But they redid the film, and I've seen a few specials on it. And I took a look at it. They did it with live people. It's not a cartoon anymore. It's not animated. It's live action, but it's pretty much live action with the exact same film. They didn't. I mean, when they say redo it, they didn't modernize it. They didn't change it really. They use the same dialogue, same scenery, same everything. Pretty much, it's all same except with people in it now. A lot of it had to be animated in the background because it showed mountains blowing up and surreal monsters and stuff. So that had to be done, but it had real people like Johnson. What's his name? He did the original voice of Moana, and then now he plays it in real life with a bodysuit on. It made him more muscular and fat, which I found interesting. I watched some clips. I did. I took a look at that thing, and it just opened. It got panned by a lot of the movie critics. Panned it. They said it was not, I don't know, it wasn't heartfelt or something. They said that it was just exactly the same. You could watch the original movie just as easily, and it wasn't any different. So he got panned for that a little bit, and I guess it just wasn't exciting. I thought it was interesting. I didn't go to the movie. I did see some clips. I didn't hate it. There's nothing about it. I mean, I thought they were going to pan it because it was woke or something, but that wasn't the case. It was exactly like it was originally. It opened to $43 million domestically over the weekend. That's in US and Canada. And the target was 60 million. So it fell short of the target, and only about 95 million globally. And the budget on that thing was 250 million. So weak turnout, and this according to Edward. Plus a backlash, critical skepticism that the remake felt unnecessary, too close to 2016 animated movie. And I'm just reading this for the first time from Edward, but that's exactly what I saw myself at some of the critics. They didn't say it was terrible or anything. And I was thinking about taking my granddaughter, Caitlin, which I went to the original with her in 2016. I couldn't have. She wasn't born yet. I went to the original with her after 2016 when it must have been on replay or something. must have been back in the theaters or something, or it was on. Oh, it might have been on television at that time, Disney Channel. Historian argues that it's racist to criticize author Carrie Greenwich after her slavery-related book. Is that what that is? A slavery-related book? The Grimke's was pulled back from attention due to alleged problems with evidence and sourcing. The dispute centers on scholars saying the book is deeply flawed with factual errors, missing or weak endnotes, and disputed claims about key historical events and reference letters. Greenwich denies fabricating or plagiarism, but acknowledged that some citations, let me see. Some citations may have been misattributed, and she frames the backlash as part of a broader pattern of attacks on Black women academics, including claims that peer review and scrutiny has driven by racism. Now, see, it's convenient if you're Black and get criticism because you can always blame it on just that I'm Black. It's not that there's faults with the book. A Democrat candidate running for Congress in Washington State, Melissa Chaudhry, said she's reluctant to publicly support LGBTQ plus right because she doesn't want to upset Muslim voters. Yeah, Democrats have a problem. She acknowledged this in an interview that the district is described as only having about 2% Muslim. Yeah, the Democrats want to support Muslims and LGBTQ, but man, they don't like each other sometimes. Oh, well, I take that back. LGBTQ will go out and protest for Muslims. Yeah, they'll go out there and hold up signs for Gaza and stuff. Crazy. I think I need to go see Moana. I don't, since Disney did one that wasn't woke, I guess, I do. Yeah, it was cinema. Thank you. And I had one of my listeners trying to tell me who it was cinema before I looked it up. I should have just read my notes. I would have picked it up, but thanks. Let me see a few articles from CENTCOM this morning as they strike Iranian targets. Iranian targets are being decimated, but I hate using that term because decimated means something else to some people because a lot of the critics of what's going on will say, well, Trump says it was decimated weeks ago. How could they still have missiles? How could they still have drones? How could they still have ability if they're decimated? I guess that's your definition of decimated. I think if you lose 90% of something, it's decimated. It doesn't mean you're without. And I read some of the reports early on, like in the first round, where they decimated the Navy, which meant that they still had half of their mosquito boats available, which can cause problems. And decimated meant that they still had half of their missiles, but they only had 1/3 of their launch capabilities, and a lot of their missiles were buried under rubble. And they called it decimated. And to some, decimated meant you could never fire another missile. Well, it wasn't the case, and still isn't the case, although the amount of missiles they fire in a single volley is tremendously less for whatever reason. I think, and they don't, and they got, they got the ability to make the missiles. You know, the factories and all those things were destroyed. They weren't. They had. I'm sure they have not been built back this quickly. That'd be amazing, but I doubt it. Of course, CENTCOM is announcing more strikes again. You know, last night and all that, or this morning, whenever that was, because they want to continue to degrade. At 6 a.m. Eastern Time, Central Command forces, that was today, began launching a wave of strikes against Iran. The strikes are designed to further degrade. Now they're not saying obliterate, they're saying degrade. Uh, to for the Iranian forces to be harassing the shipping that's going on in the Strait of Hormuz, and that seems to be the deal. This article doesn't mention it, but I know that a lot of these attacks going into Iran's coastline is coming from their neighbors. Yeah, Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates and Kuwait um, are 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 launching now. I don't know if it's U.S. air bases that are launching or U.S. that's launching from there, or if it's. I mean, that's probably the case. But I don't think they were doing that before. I think this is new. Uh, that that's that's been coming out of the some of the countries that like Qatar, that they were, you know, Iran was launching at them, and I think the neighbors are upset. I mean, they're done with it, from what I understand. That they see an opportunity to right this thing to where Iran no longer becomes the big bully in the area and the aggressor. They want to cut it out. Now, interestingly, the United Nations has given some feedback on what they think about all this, and they gave that yesterday. United yesterday's condemned the renewed hostility between the U.S. and Iran, and they're warning that the closing of the Strait of Hormuz again would harm human rights in that region and beyond. Well, they're not wrong about it harming a lot of things. I mean, it's harming a lot of people all over the world because the price of fuel is going back up. You know, it's not going to continue the downward slide. It's going to go back up. Yeah, there's no right. And there's a lot of people in that area, particularly that have lost jobs, particularly in Iran, and there's no work to go to, and a lot of places have closed down. Food is going to be one of those things because Iran is not independent on food; they import food, and a lot of that importation has been stopped. The rail lines that are coming out of Russia and China have been blown up. So all you really have is across some of the neighboring countries roads, and then through the water ports. And I think that's hard to do right now with the embargoes going on. So the United Nations rights chief Volker Turk was vocal. He said the renewed attacks are a huge setback for civilians in the region and beyond. He said there's an impact on human rights and beyond the region. It's vital lifeline on which millions are reliant. True. Disruptions to the flow of food, medicines, and other necessary commodities have served socioeconomic and humanitarian consequences both regionally and globally. And then he said that diplomacy, restraint, and de-escalation must be prioritized. He said hostilities between the U.S. and Iran must stop immediately. Immediate return to ceasefire. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think the United Nations is going to do anything about it. I think United Nations is mostly funded by us, probably. And if the United Nations is going to go do something militarily to stand in the way and to stop something, it would be us that would do it. And I don't think it's going to be. We're not going to be inclined to do that. And I don't think anyone in the UN is going to step up and challenge the United States at this point over that. But is this something they feel they have to say? Or does it, to me, it just makes them look a little ridiculous and weak when you start putting demands. We demand, well, they don't say how, but they just say it must stop, not demand that stops. It must stop immediately. Immediate return to ceasefire. Ceasefire was a ploy in a game of really the Iranians. I mean, they were able to take a breath, regroup, survive, and to them that meant they won. They won. Anytime they survive, they win. It was a low bar for them. They won, and And I think it was to their advantage, the ceasefire. So they would play the ceasefire game for the next 10 years and probably not care about it. A listener has given me a definition of decimate because I think it's gotten Trump in trouble a little bit. I mean, from some that want to criticize him, well, it doesn't look decimated because they were able to do something. Decimate originally in a military vernacular meant executing one of every 10 soldiers in a Roman unit due to cowardice or insubordination. Essentially, it means a tenth of something. Oh, really? That's it? That's not a low bar. I would say that it's decimated then. I had never heard that before. To me, decimate, maybe I'm confusing it with obliterate. I don't know. But decimate means executing one of every 10 soldiers. Is what it came from, I guess. That's the root of it. Decimate one of every 10 soldiers in a Roman times. I would say decimate is an answer. Then I mean, God, it feels like a heavier word than 1/10. Well, I would say Iran has definitely lost more than 1/10 of what's going on in every grouping, whether it's the Navy, the military. Oh, this just just popped up on my phone. The U.S. Mint is going to make a $1 gold coin with Trump's face on it. That don't we have a policy that I don't know if it's a law or a policy that coins don't they generally have presidents that have died, like a dead president? But I don't know. I'll get back to that. Let me talk to Sally. She's calling in. Good morning, Sally.
Good morning. It's good to hear you this morning. I was afraid I wasn't going to catch you on YouTube because it wasn't coming up right away.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and I've had that complaint before. I don't know what YouTube does or doesn't do to cause that.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, you're there.
Good.
And the reason I'm calling is Carl wanted me to call in and tell you about. He will be there. He is running for city council. And then we have another gentleman, his name Jay, Jay, and I can't pronounce his last name.
Why?
He's
No, I mean, that's his
he's
last
with
name. Why?
yeah.
Or is that John? Oh, Ron Y. I'm sorry. I don't know Jay.
No, this is Jay, and it's something Dancy Van. Anyhow, he's
Okay.
a gentleman from the Voter Integrity Project, and he is going to be on the show to, or he'll be there for us to hear about the voters' integrity. So that's going to be an interesting.
Now, is he out of
feature
Yuma, or is he
too.
coming out of Phoenix or something? Or
No, I think according to what information I've got, he might be coming from, and it's just on the phone.
okay,
I think I'm not positive, but anyhow, he's he's from North Carolina, I think.
okay.
Just says NC on the paperwork, so I think it's from North Carolina. Anyhow,
Is it Jay Delancey?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right.
Yes, Delancey.
Okay.
That's what I couldn't get square in my head. I guess with my aging process, it's hard to remember a lot of that stuff, but I'm doing pretty good.
All right.
Yeah. So we want you to come to the meeting tomorrow night and see our speakers. and hear what they have to say. And that's out at the Community Christian Church on Highway 95, and that's at 6 o'clock. And so it'd be a good meeting to be at, and we're mainly they try to get your the meetings between 6 and 7:30, so you can get home. You get home before dark if you're not too far away from the church.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I think the
anyhow,
Jay Delancey thing would be interesting for sure.
yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can make it too, that would be great.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
not well. Helen has said she wanted to go, so
well,
you
good.
never know.
Yeah, yeah, because she was at the Rio Colorado meeting
Mhm.
on Monday. Was it Monday night? Yes, she was there and said she was interested. So hopefully she will be there. Maybe you can come along
Okay.
with her.
Oh, yeah,
So
she would like that. I hope.
yeah, that would be nice.
But
Yeah,
he's
Carl and I, we're almost always together going
I
places.
know. I think that's
So
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, after 63 years, it's what else can we do? We're tied down to getting things done for our community, and so and I don't drive too much I don't drive at all anymore. Yeah, I've got a little bit of problems with my eyesight, so I'm I'm depending on Carl. He's my Uber driver.
Okay.
So
He's
okay,
trustworthy.
yes, he is. Okay, well, thank you
Thank you, ma'am.
for listening to me, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah.
That's Miss Sally. Just looking up Jay Delancey real quick. He's a co-founder of the Voter Integrity Project in 2011. He's out of North Carolina, but he held the Arizona election audit as a model for the kind of process he would like to see to restore trust in elections. The Arizona audit, of course, was panned as not being effective, or had a little known company with no experience. I forget what the name of the company was, Ninja something. And but he says it actually we'd like to see an audit, an Arizona style audit. I'd be interested in what he had to say. Now, she said it might be by phone. He's North Carolina, so I doubt they're flying him out here. He obviously, and he's a retired colonel from the Air Force. Okay, well, I'd be curious how they came across that name, but that may be worth the trip to go see that, even if it's by phone. And if I don't know if I'll be able to make it or not. If I don't, then it maybe get a contact. I'd get him on the air. See why he thought the Arizona audit was worthwhile, and because it got panned by so many people that it was ineffective. But he's got to be praising it for a reason. He wants to emulate some of that for his own state. Elisa Schlotkin talked about the Save American Act. Now, Elisa is a Democrat out of Michigan, and I don't know if you paying attention to the Save American Act, but it has been on life support for a long time. Life support just to keep the conversation going. It hasn't. It passed the House, and the Save Act would basically make it that everybody in America on federal elections would have to show an ID, have to be a citizen, and every single Democrat opposes it. Even though 85% of all Americans support it, and the left is just not shy or bashful about it. I mean, they're like all in, like Texas Hold'em, all in. It doesn't matter what we got to do. We're going to stop this, which has to make you wonder why, and ask those questions as to why is it so important if everybody wants it, and why is showing an ID such a big deal? You can't get into a Democrat convention without showing an ID. You have to. Everywhere you go, you have to show an ID. Uh, but the Save America Act actually was first really promoted in February at the State of the Union address. It said Trump at that time urged Congress to pass the Save America Act, arguing, he said, Democrats oppose voter ID because the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And the only reason they don't want to do it, why would anybody not want voter ID? One reason, because they want to cheat. It's only one reason. They make up all excuses. They say it's racist. They come up with things, you almost say, what imagination they have. They want to cheat. They have cheated. And their policy is so bad that the only way they can get elected is to cheat. And we're going to stop it. So far, we haven't. Stopped it. And he's argued for months that Democrats oppose the Save America Act. It would make it harder to cheat in elections, claiming that the party benefits politically from weak voter verification measures and the votes of people who are not eligible to vote. Well, Schlotzkin talked about that. And it's close right now. The last time the bill came forward, it failed 50 to 48 in the Senate. And in Lindsey Graham's passing, John Thune has had a resurgence of passion towards it. He's never had passion towards it. I guess he's developed a passion towards it. At least he said that, and that they think they might have 50 votes now. We'll see, because 4 Republicans joined the Democrats to vote against it. And that's why it was 50 to 48 against it. But Mitch McConnell was one, and he's not able to vote right now. He's still recuperating, according to him. Recuperating, according to others, he's not he won't ever be back. But I certainly don't know. But Schlotkin said, and she was at some I forget exactly where she was. She was at a rally of some kind. But anyway, she said, Save America Act would make it more difficult for married women to vote, saying a woman would have to show her birth certificate at the polls. Critics of the bill argued that the requirement would create additional hurdles for some married women who change their last names after marriage because their name on their birth certificate does not match their current identification. Really? 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 I mean, hasn't that been going on for 100 years or better, hundreds of years? And women seem to be doing just fine. In those cases, voters may need to provide additional documents such as a marriage certificate. It's kind of like an automatic. I'm a newlywed. I've only been married 2 years. Consider that a newlywed. I think Helen handled it just fine. Kind of like knew what to do. But Schloskin is saying the quiet part out loud now when she said on June 6th, this year, when she was addressing Indiana Democratic Party, she celebrated the Senate's rejection to save the American Act. And then she said at that time, it would allow Trump administration to rig our democracy, and it would be hard for any Democrat in any state to win any election. And what does she mean by rig the democracy? I'd be curious to have it in her words. I guess she means rigged is that only eligible people would vote. And people couldn't vote. Illegal aliens couldn't vote. Frank couldn't vote twice. Representative Tony Weed, he wrote on X after Slodkins, said Democrats are saying that quite apart out loud. They know they can't win on their own merit. Rand Paul, even out of Kentucky. This talking point from the left is not only false, but it also paints women as incapable, which we all know is not the case. Showing up to the polls to vote with an ID that proves you're an American citizen, whether you're married or not, is common sense. We need to pass the Save American Act. Mike Lee out of Utah. By that same logic, no married woman in America could fill out an I-9 form, which every American must do when starting a new job. This is absurd, and it highlights why we need to pass the American Save Act. Slotkin said in the video, referring to Trump, if the State of the Union, while we're all sitting on the House floor, he said again that if his side doesn't win in November 26, the election was rigged. I think he did say that. I think he has such confidence in the people voting for him He came right to that conclusion. Democrat or Trump argued that Democrats want to cheat. That's the only way they could get elected is to cheat. Also said Republicans could face impeachment if they lose the midterm. Well, that's true. And the number one target would be Trump. Trump would be impeached. Last time I got a note from Edward on it, and I don't know how he keeps track of this, but the Democrats have lined up like 140 impeachment reasons for impeachment, or different things they're going to bring forward for impeachment. And it doesn't matter what they are. Impeachment, the bar for impeachment has been explained that it's whatever the House says it is. I mean, that's it. That's how easy it is. It's high crimes and misdemeanors. And a definition of high crimes and misdemeanors is anything that the House identifies as high crimes and misdemeanors. So it's a political impeachment. Trump says they want to cheat. They have cheated. Their policies so bad. The only way they can get elected is cheating, and we're going to stop it. Slotskin accused Trump of trying to federalize elections, which is funny. Federal elections are federalized. I don't know if that makes sense. It's a federal election. When you vote, when the presidents and the vice president, the federal election, the senates and all that's for federal. And there's rules for federal elections. It's the states that hold the elections. It's the states that are responsible for following the federal rules. Is all. The states are in charge of the elections. The states do the elections, but that doesn't mean there's not a federal overlay of what the rules are. Like the president has to be 35 years old or something. I don't know, whatever it is constitutionally, and that. And I don't know that I have a full grasp on this, but I understand the DOJ has sent a letter to all states to verify, or they want to know how they're going to complete this, but that to make sure that in all federal elections that nobody that's not a citizen votes, and they want an explanation from every state on how they put that policy into place. And they gave them a 5-day deadline to turn in that methodology. I'm curious how that's going to go. I mean, there's so many states out there just aren't going to answer the letter. I'm guessing, but I've seen in the past they've asked for a list of voter lists and stuff, and they won't get it. Their states refuse. But there is still a federal, and I like that. So I consider trying to federalize the elections, pointing to an unsigned draft executive order. It was drafted in 2020 election that proposed using the National Guard to seize voting machines. Well, I don't know the context of that and what the National Guard would seize voting machines, but I would think if there's a reason to seize a voting machine because there's a sign of improprieties and to make sure that the evidence isn't destroyed, they may do that. That order was never carried out. By the way, it was never carried out. Didn't we have some federal officers seize voting machines in some states and voting records in some states, and they got objection? Arizona was one of them. Just recently, to check to make sure that they're following federal guidelines and stuff. Amazingly, they did it in Arizona, and my understanding is it was too late because the state already destroyed. They made sure they destroyed all of the records, which I think is premature, maybe from the last election. But it didn't matter because the audit that was done in Arizona made a copy of them all. They got it from the audit. From what I understand, that's how they got their hands on it, which probably upset some people. They say, well, we destroyed that. Yeah, you destroyed one record. You didn't destroy the other record. It says here, in securing America's elections through common sense methods like voter ID and proof of citizenship will make it impossible for Democrats to win elections. Perhaps they should reconsider the methods they're using to win. That's according to White House spokesman Abigail Jackson. And maybe they should. A lot of states like California have put into law the things they need to verify that they can cheat and not get caught. Like no voter ID, no cameras, no records, no address is necessary. You can register to vote from a empty lot. It's legal because homeless people are allowed to vote. California just puts it all entrenched in law. So the second you would do an audit, what 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 the hell would you look for? Okay, give me a list of your voters. Well, this guy lives in a lot. How am I going to talk to him? I don't know. It's up. We don't require that. No signature verification. No, we just take people's word for it. California. And there's nothing of consequence that we can do in this country that we just take their word for it. You know, you can't get a marriage license, you can't get a driver's license, whatever, just take your word for it. You need to have proof everywhere. And voting is one of our most sacred things, you know, responsibilities and everything else. But the taking away the license and taking away anything like that just makes it ridiculous. I'll have to get back to that. Arizona's, and this is an article I got from a while ago, but I saved it because I did want to talk about it. The AI boom, artificial intelligence. And I know we've talked about it, we're going to talk about it more, but this this article, and it's a little week old or so, talks about some of the AI problems. First of all, that there is an AI boom, and Arizona is testing. I didn't realize that Phoenix has such a big AI capacity already, but there is a lot of pushback from AI right now coming out there, and multitudes of reasons. But there's a couple main ones, and we're going to go through it. But data centers are promising jobs and investment, but they also need huge amounts of electricity and cooling. That's the way this thing starts off. One of the driest part of the countries, I'm sorry. State utility regulators warned infrastructure built over 100 years may need to double. And I've heard that the amount of infrastructure that we have is nowhere near the requirement needed for the AI. And it's going to come quick, like with 4 to 5 years. So it makes sense that a lot of these AI proposals and the AI projects are absolutely coming with their own energy infrastructure. They're responsible for it. Which that's the only way they're going to sell it to a community. They mean you can't plug in if there's no power available. So they're bringing power, and they're doing that. I know at least in one way with these small nuclear reactors. And I thought those were like a futuristic pipe dream that was something that someday we would be able to get. Well, I was wrong. We got, I think it was 7 of them under construction right now that are being made, that have been approved, and apparently from talking to our local representative, it's approved in the state of Arizona. We don't have one on the books. It's being built, and we don't have one that's been permitted. But the ability to do it is already encased in law. They can do that. Phoenix metro area has one of the country's biggest data center hubs, which I didn't really know we were that big a player. APM Research Lab hosts about 707 megawatts of IT capacity, more than any major city except Dallas. Google's broken ground in Mesa. Microsoft operates data centers in El Mirage and Goodyear. So it's not a future boom for Arizona and for Phoenix. It's already there, and of course they're going to grow. This article does mention that it's a change. We have cloud services. Now, you guys know what the cloud is. You know, you get a lot of information in the cloud. You can buy time in the cloud. Well, basically, that's a data center, what we call it a data center. Where now that cloud has moved into more computations, more with the artificial intelligence and everything else that's going on. It becomes more necessary to have that extra computing power, and we're calling it AI now, but the cloud service has been out there for 20 years or so. And so that's why there's so many of them, that the data centers are so many. We think, well, how could there be so many? And we didn't know about it. Well, they've been building for a long time. It just wasn't a big, there wasn't a big negative about it. And there wasn't a big pushback. And a lot of that is coming from China, from what I understand, that, anti data centers, because they would like to slow down our artificial intelligence progress. Let me see. The International Agency estimates data centers use about 415 terawatts of electricity worldwide in 24. That's beyond my comprehension of what a terawatt is, but it's bigger than a megawatt. I mean, a lot of them. By 2030, it's going to reach 445 terawatts. U.S. expects to be one of the largest, is one of the biggest drivers of that increase. The United States. We'll see. With about half the projects in the United States that are proposed are either canceled or postponed because of all the negative press about them using water and everything else like that. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Russ. How you doing today?
Good. You know you're on the air, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
I just wanted to let you know that Church for the City is the best church in town,
Okay.
and pretty awesome. And I'm getting everything set up for the big hall tomorrow. Give me a call when you're off the air, and I just wanted to say thanks for all you've done, and
All right.
talk to you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Of course, that was John Mahorvath, my trainer. In the past, my trainer. Now it's he's getting ready to leave. He's going to Washington. His son lives in Washington, and he's gonna pack up, hit the road, and he's been at Church for the City, I guess, for the past year or so, or most of the past year, to become a pastor himself. He's been getting training over at the Church for the City. Good for him. And today I think he's packing a vehicle up and a U-Haul and is going to hit the road. Excited for him. It's adventure, big adventure. Getting back to AI and some of the data centers. Research estimates data centers consume 4.5 trillion liters of water in 25. Again, we get back to the water. And the water, and there's some confusion about the water, and I've been told before about the water, is they put toxic things in it, and then it's the forever chemicals. I heard it was a forever chemical. Well, I can't find any rational reason for any of that. It's not a manufacturing facility by any means. It's computations, and the water is used strictly to cool, as a cooling device. Because these computers, if you ever had a laptop on your lap, it gets warm. Well, imagine that, on these big computers, these huge computers, they could get hot, and to keep them cool, they used to use lots of water evaporating, cooling and stuff. Well, of course, that's not feasible as these things have grown. The evaporating system, of course, particularly in the desert Southwest and in Yuma and everything, it wouldn't work here. Not to use that. APS, and this is specific to Arizona, APS expects the peak load to rise by 40%. 2021. And this is something I've yet to, I've talked to a few people already, but if we raise by 44 by 2031, and of course, peak load is what they have to build equipment for. Infrastructure, towers, lines, capability of power and power generation has to match whatever that peak is. Of course, that's not going to run all day like that, but that's what you have to build for. You have to build for the peak. So when it does happen, and of course, if you have data centers, that peak is going to be higher and higher. And then who pays for the infrastructure? Well, data centers have to pay for their own infrastructure. But how does that work out when right now they've got to build the whole system, which is very expensive to accommodate what's going to happen, and that comes in rates going up, rate hikes. I don't know that I have a full answer for that, because I'm assured that data centers pay for all their own stuff. They pay for all their own infrastructure that gets rebuilt and all that. I'm still skeptical. We're still asking those questions. This article points out that data centers are not the biggest users of water. They're expected to use 905 million gallons of water in 25. That's existing data centers, nothing new. That's less than 0.1% of statewide water use. In the Phoenix area, they say it's enough water for nearly 10,000 homes annually. Well, that's not a ton of water then, if those numbers are real, because Phoenix is probably adding 10,000 homes, in Phoenix every 5 or 10 years anyway. But again, that's something we're going to have to wrestle with and look at. And I think whatever we can do to cut down this water use on these data centers is important, because they don't have to apparently use all that water. There are ways to cool them internally, in closed systems without using water. And those are fairly new on the market. Some of the things they're doing now are fairly new, and it's, as residents, and if we're having data centers, I'm not anti-data centers. I'm anti any data center that would come in and harm our communities or our people paying rates and everything. Palo Verde in Arizona is the only nuclear power facility in the world not located on a major body of water. I never knew that. Yeah, but there's a lot of power plants on the coastline. 3 Mile Island was on the coastline, and you go out, you drive down in California, they're always on the coastline. Because they use a lot of water. Now, Palo Verde uses treated wastewater for cooling, and they recycle on top of it because they're in the middle of the desert. I didn't know they were they're the only one. Well, I guess in the Midwest they could be right on the Mississippi or something, but okay. Uh, Phoenix moved to put guardrails around major water users, which a lot of places have. We're not the only ones. And there's an ordinance that requires projects expecting more than 250,000 gallons per day to submit a conservation plan. Projects above 500,000 gallons a day must meet part of the demand with recycled or conserved water that directly affect large industrial users that want city water. I think that's common in a lot of places. I think the thing going on in Arizona, and we're fortunate, I think. Some people may differ, but we become noted, for chips. TSMC in Phoenix. If you haven't driven by that site, it's massive, and they're still building high performance computing demand, and of course, TSMC says its Arizona operation will use in-house recycling for about 65% of the water, and they do use a lot of water too. And the company says that its long-term goal is 90% reclaimed water through industrial wastewater plants. I think it's a necessity going forward. Has to be. Arizona's Colorado River, again, is in bad shape. We're still in a drought. It didn't have a good snowpack last year. It's down a lot from last year. We're not. The drought continues, and we may be looking at cutting water at the same time. We need water for projects, which is terrible. And let me see also about sales tax breaks. Any big business, and I don't know, any business out there that has big malls or anything going into big cities or whatever, they always make deals. We're working around taxes and infrastructure, and they ask cities, they ask states for some kind of help on the tax base, particularly when they're coming in as a startup. They're not really making money to reduce taxes to help with building infrastructure, and doing stuff like that. They do a lot of that, but there's in the state of Arizona, Katie Hobbs signed into a budget bill passed that pausing new tax breaks for data centers for 3 years. And it's very restrictive, and it may keep us from getting into that industry. And to some people, that's just fine. Some people say they don't care about that. They just soon have no data centers. A lot of people would rather have no data centers. But we're going to need them data centers as we move forward with this with all these plans. Chandler had a limit on data centers water use since 2015, so it's been around a while. That's before we really went into AI. They a lot of areas, and I know Yuma's had people out on protesting and about anti-data centers, and you see a lot of people running for office that make promises that they're going to fight to make sure we never have a data center. And I'm I'm for growth, and I'm for looking at the data centers and making sure that they fit. But I'm not anti-data center. Now, if a data center comes in here and needs tons of water we can't have, then they don't fit. But I don't want to make a blatant no data centers ever. That's kind of crazy for me, anyway. Waterless cooling. It says it can use more electricity, which shifts problems back to the grid. And I don't know how much more. I doubt it. I doubt if it's that great. That's the first time I heard that was in this article. The other states that are being watched as far as large growth, other than Arizona, Texas, Ohio, Illinois, and New York, new scrutiny. A lot of them are scrutinizing, and I think it's short-sighted. I think once you start saying no to business at any cost, then you stop growing at all, and nothing. And like California, if you're not growing, and then they're shrinking and they're going down because things are not only not coming in, they start moving out. They start becoming, and are they really better off for that? I don't think so. The question in this article: should desert states put stricter limits on AI data centers, or is tech investment worth the pressure on water and electricity? I think that's subjective, and it can be worth it depending on what the situation is and depending on how much. But I think each one should be looked at individually to see if it fits, and I think human needs to do the same. We should take a look at it. I'm bringing up the snowpack data just recently. I'm somehow not. They've changed this website. Oh, it's under maintenance. The website I've always used for Lake Powell water base database. Yeah, it's pretty, but it just doesn't come up. Oh, here it is. Can't really tell you anything from this. Oh, here we go. Yeah, we're at a pretty big low right now for 26 for Lake Powell. Oh, the snowpack. Oh, the snowpack was low for the year. Wow, I didn't realize it was that much low, way below the norms. 23, we had a huge snowpack. Very good. We need another one. And maybe with this El Nino, we'll get back to it. 2019, we had a good one, 2023. And we need a good one for every year for the next 10 years, maybe to start making a dent. And how far down? I mean, we're down. Our levels are not good. Not good. I don't have the percentage level right here at my fingertips, but maybe I do. For Lake Powell, that's the one I was looking at. Lake Powell, Lake Mead, of course, matters too. They're usually tied together. Microsoft has just recently, just a couple weeks ago, cut 4,800 jobs, which I thought was interesting. But the way they framed it, when Microsoft cut jobs, and that represents about 2% of its global workforce. That's amazing how big they are. 2% is 4,800 jobs. They announced the organizational changes near the close of its fiscal year is normal for them. They described the move, the Xbox head, Asha, described the move as the most significant restructuring in Xbox history, saying the gaming division plans to eliminate about 3,200 positions during next year, and roughly 1,600 roles effective Monday. So the stuff that this went in, this was last Monday, not this week, but the week before. And then Amy Coleman, the chief people officer, we used to call them personnel managers. I guess it's the same thing. The chief office people officer. Who Who does this? Makes these, I guess, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. She says, I want to be direct that the role it eliminates today are not being replaced by AI. Now, why would that be your first comment? Why would you come out and say the first comment is we're not doing it to replace people with AI? What that tells me is that AI is replacing them. But they say it over and over again. The restructuring is designed to better aim Microsoft's workforce and investment with a rapidly changing technology landscape while emphasizing the layoffs are not the result of AI directly. Well, I don't care if it's direct or indirect. It's AI has a footprint in there somewhere. She said she wrote at the same time, what is true is that AI is changing how work gets done. So she's admitting it's changing how work gets done, but we're not doing it directly and we're not eliminating based on AI. I think they're real sensitive about the subject myself. Some of the tasks we do every day can now be automated. Well, yes, that means you're replacing it with AI. We all need to keep learning, keep building new skills, and keep adapting to as the work evolves. I agree. And yes, just like we evolved with computers. Computers were not in the workforce or the workplace like they are now. When I was first starting in business, it wasn't. I worked with Napa Auto Parts when we were putting buildings on computer that have never been on before, stores, well, distribution centers and stuff on computers that were never on computers ever. They just kept handwritten records for every part that went in, every part that went out, a written record. And that was tabulated at the end of the day, every day. And that's how orders were done and everything else by hand, and computers were put in. Now, we couldn't imagine running a big business like that today. That would be silly. It would be terrible. Well, at the time, people were complaining how many jobs it's going to displace. Well, yeah, we didn't need staffs of record keepers at the end of the day to sit and tabulate by hand what computers did in seconds. I think AI is the same kind of adjustment, but we're panicked about it, just like people back then panicked. Microsoft says considers alternative before implementing job layoffs, including redeploying more than 4,000 employees to new roles over the past year and reassigning another 500 workers this month. So they're coming out telling you that, yes, it's not replacing by AI, but it is being replaced by AI. But we're doing our best to retrain, remove, and reassign. Yeah. We are still early in this journey, and there will be more changes ahead. Other parts of our business, we need to make similar changes. I agree. It is early. And interesting, AI, people are writing new programs, which is kind of hard to comprehend. But the programmers that used to be employed and just vast amounts of programmers sitting down writing copy and programs, wrote programs for AI, and now the programs they wrote are writing the new programs, and they don't need you to write them anymore. You kind of trained your replacement. They hate to say that directly. Obviously, Microsoft is avoiding saying it as much as they can. See, I want to announce the Freedom Library. I told him I'd do this occasionally. U.S. Constitution class for Freedom Library. Starts August 20th, so you might want to put that on the calendar, August 20th. It doesn't say free anymore. I guess it is. You got to buy the book now. I don't know what the cost of that is, but it's nominal. August 18th will be the economics class, and that's at the Freedom Library, 2035 South Arizona Avenue, right where the Yuma Sun newspaper used to have everybody. Well, they have everybody now. They just don't have very many everybody's anymore. They have a big parking lot because they used to take a ton of people. I think they were replaced by AI. No, there was a lot of automation that went into it and the newspaper. But everybody that sets type and does all that stuff, it's all changed over the years. And they have these huge amount of parking spaces, and you think, well, what did they close or something? No, they're just the need for the people has changed, and they were very nice in that building at the Sun to donate a portion of it over to the Freedom Library. to make use of the building, which is good, good for us, good for Howard and the Freedom Library. Thanks so much for listening. It's Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow. Until then, have a great day. This is Russ Clark. I'm hiding over here at Mortgage One Studios.